Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as always by Mr. Tucker Hazel, and we're here today for a very special, very important video actually, because the Nintendo Switch 2, as of time of recording, God knows we're going to post this. Could post years.
A couple days.
Post years from now.
I don't want to do that. That sounds useless.
But
It'd be interesting as a time capsule, though. What if we recorded a video like before we uploaded almost anything, and we just like released it like 7 years into the channel?
You know how like
that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, you know how Mr. Beast has like, dear Jimmy, I'm you from 10 years ago or whatever. He like scheduled because he's like a psycho.
No.
But Mr. Beast scheduled these videos like 10 years ago, and they just posted like recently, and it's like him talking about his aspirations of the future, right? I think we should do that, but we record it now, and when we publish it, we pretend that we recorded it like 10 years ago. And if anybody asks us, like, no, you obviously
look the same. And
yeah, this is your house.
Yeah,
we know you just moved here. We just lie.
All right, I'm in. And no one will know.
Actually, this is that video.
Whoa, hey guys, look.
Hey guys, we're recording this video in 2015, and 15 days before the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, we're going to imagine in the year 2015 what our favorite 10 Switch games will be in 2025.
Can't wait.
Well, Tucker, I think that's about as good as an intro as we've ever had for the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If
my throat sounds a little fucked up, it's just because it is. It's the way of the world. I've been smoking a lot. I decided to take up smoking in the last 10 days.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through...
Well, actually, it has been actually a long time since we recorded a video.
That's true.
We went to PAX and everything, and we pre-recorded a couple of them. So we don't know what you've been up to.
I've actually been green screening to this location. This is the first time I've recorded about 10 months.
Wow.
I smoke them unfiltered. I don't really know what that means. I have a cigarette's unfiltered. Tucker, we both have our lists of our top 10 Switch games.
Oh, is that what this video is about?
And we're going to go through those from number 10 to 1 to celebrate the end of this generation of what is your favorite Nintendo system ever. Mm-hmm. Probably my second or third favorite ever.
Yeah, or fourth, fifth, or sixth, or, depends on the day.
So we both love this system. Let's give a little bit of a caveatage before we get into this. Sure. I have included ports and remakes on this list, largely for the sake of making sure we can cover more games, because I think that if I didn't do that, Tucker and I would have very similar top 10 lists, and that'd be kind of boring.
Maybe, yeah.
Also, a lot of ports and remakes made up a really fundamental part of this library, and it was a pretty big change. Other than like 3DS or GBA, there's not really been a ton of generations with a ton of ports and remakes, so... Yeah, I think it's worth including those. Also, I love a lot of them. So,
sure.
The only other caveat I'll give on my caveat is that, and this is largely for the sake of making sure that 4 of the 10 slots weren't the 4 core Pikmin games, I have not included ports or remakes that are, in my view, like not the optimal way to play the game in question, or that I don't have like a strong connection to.
Sure.
So really what this is doing is making sure that like Pikmin 1, which is in like my top 15 games ever, is not on the list, because like this version of Pikmin 1 is like unremarkable.
Yeah, it's a good version to play.
Yeah, it's not the best, it's not the worst. You should just play it on Wii if you can. But that's that. Do you have any caveats or things you want to say?
No, because the caveats you mentioned, sure, I'm glad you mentioned them, I guess. But like, can't you just have the games you want on your list? The only actual caveat for this is for the two of us, we decided to only include games published by Nintendo.
Oh,
These are Nintendo published games. That is the actual only important criteria for a game making it on here. If I wanted to include only ports, I guess I could have. But I guess I count my lucky stars that I don't really care too strongly about any of the ports to this system or the remakes. And I'm really here on any system for what games are new. If we made a top 10 Wii U games video, I would have a lot of Wii U games on there. I would have a lot of games that I played primarily on Switch, but I count them as Wii U in my head. But this like is for me. That's a fascinating point. But this for me is just a chance for us to reflect on the games that we've really connected to as the generation is wrapping up, because as of recording, and as of uploading, Switch 2 is incredibly imminent. We will have Mario Kart World in our hands, and of course, a Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. We'll be playing so much of that. And though there are Switch 1 games still releasing post-Switch 2, many of the biggest ones, and the ones that could possibly be on this list, are going to be cross-gen. Both Metroid Prime 4 and Legend of Zelda are launching day and date on both Switch 1 and Switch 2, and it's very possible that future Switch 1 games also will have the same treatment or won't be major enough to likely make this list, so we feel like now is a good time. I mean, maybe there's a time, like 3 or 4 years from now when there are literally no more Switch 1 games. We could really take a comprehensive look at the library, but it's 95% done now. And so we can really confidently make this list. And also, it's fun to reflect right on the cusp of transitioning to a new generation of Nintendo.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the experiential difference, right, is Metroid Prime 4. Part of why I was hesitant to do this video for a while is I truly think Metroid Prime 4 could be my number 1 game on the system.
Sure, maybe. Yeah.
But that said, at this point...
You're going to play it on Switch 2.
It will be a Switch 2 game.
And you're going to consider it a Switch 2 game. Yeah.
So experientially, it makes sense to cap it here, because even Rhythm Heaven and particularly Tomodachi Life, which could make my list because I love the one on 3DS, realistically we'll have a Switch 2 edition, if only because of the camera. And Nintendo's real excitement to do a lot of Switch 2 editions has me thinking that anything forthcoming will be on both. But that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
So Tucker, let's get into... I'm going to...
Woolly World will be cross-gen?
What?
You think Woolly World will be cross-gen?
It's funny because,
Maybe. What if with the camera, you could make, a Yarn Yoshi skin that's, a picture or something? So you could, frankly, you could take, a dick pic and make your Yoshi look like that.
Or maybe if you did expose yourself to the Nintendo Switch 2 camera for the Nintendo Switch 2 system, Yoshi, drops the yarn ball he's holding in Fright. That's, a gimmick.
Yeah. Maybe they put some development time into that, maybe.
Let's get into our number 10 games, Tucker. Let's also mention the
honorables?
Number 10. No, we'll do honorables after number 2, but before number 1. It'll make sense.
What the hell?
Trust me.
Okay. We do also have community submissions.
Yeah, and there's also timestamps, so if people want to get crazy, they can do a non-linear viewing. You can go to the timestamp for honorable mentions and then come back to number 10 if you want. But it makes most sense to do it this way, trust me.
Like Tenet.
like Tenet, you can do a temporal pincer on the video.
Yeah.
Sithscott here gave his number 10 game, Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Oh, this how we're doing it?
Sharp FE. I just figured, because some of our community members gave us their full top 10 lists. We'll just read them out as we go along. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure. I don't think so.
Okay, then we won't do it this way. Forget what Sithscott's number 10 is. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, we'll get to it later. How about this?
Yeah.
I think we have 5 of them. Every 2, let's read out someone's top 10.
Sure. Let's get fucking crazy with it.
Wow,
Okay, you go first. What's your number 10?
My number 10 favorite Nintendo published game on the Nintendo Switch is going to be Pokemon Violet. This is an interesting one because it represents to me what the Switch is so good at, and as I will talk about in many of my other favorite games on the system here, is taking something that I was already incredibly passionate about. I've been a lifelong Pokemon fan since my first game, really, that I count is Pokemon Pearl on the DS.
Sure.
And this generation was really a growing point, a maturing point for the Pokemon series to be trying something new. If you remember back to before the Nintendo Switch launched, the complaint about Pokemon games was Game Freak never does anything new. And these games are all the goddamn same. And luckily, in the Nintendo Switch era, for better and for worse, every game on the system was something radically different, even from different teams. And Pokemon Violet is really that moment, and as I mentioned in other times we've talked about this, it feels to me like that next starting point for Pokemon.
Right.
It's the new Red and Blue. Scarlet and Violet are slight color shifts of Red and Blue. And I was just incredibly surprised by how much personal connection I felt to this game because it's emblematic of all the things that I thought were most exciting about Pokemon, which is the exploration and the discovery. And this game, I think, does those a lot better because it's so much more free than previous Pokemon games. And it also just introduced a lot of little things that I thought were exceptional. I think that there will never be a mainline Pokemon game going forward that doesn't have current active multiplayer co-op, ostensibly playing in the world with your friends. That is I think one of the best things the Pokemon series has ever introduced. It's so seamless, it's so smooth with your friends. The game itself has issues, but I almost feel weird stipulating that because I just love the game. There's plenty of games I love that have technical issues and don't look great, but for me, it's about the joy that I found in the world. Not only do I think that this game has one of the strongest stories in terms of the characters, the character arcs, the themes, I think that the world is interesting to explore. I think that the new Pokemon they added are consistently very interesting. They, tweaked the battles a little bit, even though I don't like terastallizing. It's there. That's like one of my least favorite things about the game, actually. But I really, really did love Pokemon Violet and the time I spent with it and the time I spent with my friends in it. Because those social experiences have become more and more important to me, and Pokemon Violet was a great example of that, where I was able to connect with my brother and with other people through Pokemon, which is something that I love.
What did I say to you this morning? I said, Nintendo Switch 2 version of that game, I'm going to give it that other shot because, to be fair, I think a lot of those issues you're citing are very possibly just going to be gone to time, right?
Maybe.
Which would be really exciting, and if that's the case, I'll be really excited.
Well, the textures still don't look very good.
Yeah,
we haven't actually seen it, but...
that's small potatoes in the Scarlet Violet issues, but I really love what you're saying about the connection to the world, and I'm really excited to have that for myself, I think, when the game is on Switch 2.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. My number 10 is F-Zero 99. Which I just crossed 70 hours in, yesterday.
Holy crow.
I really, really love this game. I think Nintendo software technology knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. And it's cool that they did, because I think that put yourself back in the mind of anybody in the world. In September...
That's a lot of options, buddy.
Yeah, you can pick whatever you fucking want.
Holy shit.
You think about...
Jill Biden.
He probably doesn't know about F-Zero. Obama does, because he used to main Captain Falcon in Smash Bros. 64 in college.
Well, then there's a chance that the Biden family was introduced to F-Zero through their good friend Barack.
True.
Maybe they played it together at Thanksgiving at the White
House. So, we got this hint from Pyoro that there was going to be an F-Zero game, and then there was an inevitable disappointment when we found out that it was a 99 title.
Yeah.
But I think that NST really transcended that, and despite the fact that the first F-Zero game, first new game, in
almost 20 years.
20 years is a online only, multiplayer only title. They really built it into something extremely special over time, and even at release, the synchronous multiplayer was amazing. It is, in my mind, some of the most frantic and fun online multiplayer of the entire generation. And as I've been updating it, adding Satellaview tracks, adding a new Grand Prix, and it's really blossomed into this wonderful celebration of Zero on the whole. It's just continued to impress me. And it's really deepened my love of this series. I've always loved particularly G, X, and X. Mm-hmm. But F-Zero 99, I think, is probably my favorite in the series. I think it just has this perfect blend of speed and skill and readability, which is something that GX in particular suffers with, because that track just has fucking bananas mode. Mm-hmm. It's just been a joy to continue to revisit it and watch it grow as they add tracks and challenges and emotes and put so much more into this game than any other 99 game.
Yeah. And that anyone expected.
Tetris gets the themes, but this gets real substantial content updates. And I love it for that. I just love this game. I think NST totally over-delivered, and I mean that in the best way possible. Yeah.
No, I think that it is one of the coolest things they did this generation. And I think Nintendo doesn't get enough credit for what they did with F-Zero. One of those franchises that people have always said deserved a second shot in the modern day, especially since Nintendo has been pretty scant on racing games. They've just really only focused on Mario Kart for generations at this point. And F-Zero 99 is not like Mario Kart at all. And so it coexists very nicely. And it also leans into something that I even though with my limited experience with F-Zero, my limited appreciation of F-Zero, when I played X for the first time, and you are crammed into one of these courses and you're bouncing off of other people, it's like this little tight corridor of like ping pong or the pinball ostensibly. That is what I was like, whoa, I've never played a racing game like this before. And they took that and they turned it to 99, which is like, let's think back. Pre-F-Zero 99, what was the thing they always said about F-Zero? Is we're not going to make a new one unless there's a good idea of why we would make a new one that is different from what came before. And they did that with F-Zero 99. I think they delivered the core spirit of what makes F-Zero a unique racing game, and they continue to support it. And it's a great game, and you can play it for free if you have Nintendo Switch Online. Yeah. It's like a win across the board, and hopefully a signal for a return to form for F-Zero in the next generation, which I think is very likely, to be honest.
Why the fuck would you do this and bring back Climax and all this shit if you're not planning a new F-Zero in the hopper somewhere? It has to happen.
Yeah.
But even if it doesn't,
Winback is on NSO, so like they're probably making new Winback. I just got chills.
It's hard to imagine a world so good that could contain a new Winback.
Yeah.
Let's do number 9s.
Number 9. My number 9 is going to be ARMS. This is probably the game across the course of this generation that I have been the biggest defender of. Because from day one, you and I have actually known each other longer than we've had the Nintendo Switch. It was a couple months before Switch came out. So our friendship and our dynamic is centered around Nintendo Switch and has evolved alongside it. And ARMS was one of the first sticking points of the dynamic between the two of us, because you like sold your copy and said it was like really no fun and didn't like the gameplay and complained about the lack of content and all of this. And frankly, I think that's part of what radicalized me to become the ARMS fan that I am.
Sure.
But that is also built on a foundation of, I think this game works for me in it being the Splatoon-esque, Pikmin-esque Nintendo spin on a pre-established genre. Before this, the only fighting games I'd ever really played extensively was Super Smash Bros., which is, again, another Nintendo spin on an established genre, but there's not another game like ARMS. Even when you say other boxing games, let's be real, not only are there barely any of those, but no, not really. They're not. You can't really move around like you can in ARMS. ARMS is, other than like Ring Fit and Labo, it is the Switch's new idea. It uses Nintendo's innovation in hardware potential, with the split Joy-Cons having separate gyro movement and stuff, to make a game that controls unlike any other. And it bases its identity around that. I love the world design of this game. I think all the characters look very diverse and are very interesting. And I was surprisingly really interested in the world building that they had, because they had these little tidbits about when you would, unlock a trophy, like a in-game trophy or whatever. It would give you a little hint about what the world is like. And to this day, one of my biggest disappointments is that we never got that graphic novel series that was supposed to come out, because I just thought that ARMS was fascinating. And of course, there is a passionate group of people that agree with me, but in the way that it works for me against other fighting games is, I feel like it strikes a balance for me as a fighting game newbie, where I feel like I can learn about it and explore my skill within a limited pool, but will always, because the pool is limited, will always feel like no matter what kind of skill level I'm against, I'll have a fighting chance. If you plot me in Tekken or Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and there's someone who's played the game for 15 years, I probably won't even get a hit on them. But ARMS has enough flexibility within that, enough focus where there's not a ton of options. The characters all play largely similarly, but different enough for you to choose what playstyle you want to do. But then on top of that is the fact that you can, on the fly, change your strategy by changing your arms between matches, what you have on your different gloves, to experiment and see, okay, I've learned that my opponent likes to do this kind of dodge. Let's switch to something else partway through the match to counter that. And I just think that is a really fascinating thing. I think incentivized for me a lot of replay value and continuing to unlock things that don't really usually happen in fighting games that usually, frankly, have things all unlocked at the start. And so I was like, okay, I want to unlock all these different arms to know what options I have. And I also think musically and visually, I think it's one of the strongest games on the entire system. I think it looks beautiful and the color palette is amazing. And I still to this day will rock out to the ARMS soundtrack quite consistently. So just a game that really impressed me, attached to me personally, and I think is very emblematic of the unique ideas that are only possible with Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, certainly. I think that ARMS didn't really get a fair shake at launch, including from me. This is another game where I think they really changed the narrative on it with time. And I think that I think that the community is broadly more fond of ARMS now than it was.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's nice that it's getting that switch.
People either look back at it as like a joke, but an inoffensive and kind of cute joke, or they love it.
And I mean,
there's no hate for ARMS.
No,
anymore.
not anymore, certainly. And I think that with this Nintendo Switch 2 patch it's getting, that should hopefully be a good opportunity for people. Oh my
god, it's gonna run so well! Holy shit!
Yeah, and it specifically said better frame rate for groups of 3 or 4 players.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So getting people together again for that party experience is really cool. And I know I'll certainly be giving ARMS another crack.
Yeah. You don't even have the game though, right?
Buy it again. Why not?
Whoa, look at this. Mr. Moneybags over here.
Mr.
I'll buy these games.
Buy a little copy of ARMS. Buy a little copy of ARMS.
As a little treat.
A little treat. Little gift for myself. Yeah.
Unfortunately, digital games never go on sale. We learned this the other day. So
we did. It's funny because ARMS is actually like one of the few Switch games that Nintendo always discounts to $40. Yeah, like true. Constantly.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I played this game on Wii U, but I never beat it on Wii U, actually. I didn't beat it until the Switch version. And I gotta be honest with you, folks. I needed Funky Kong to do it the first time. Not beaten it again since, without Funky Kong, without the new Funky mode. And every time I replay this game, I think I fall a little bit more deeply in love with it. And for as much as I am so ready for the new era of Donkey Kong, the new look for Donkey Kong, the new direction for his gameplay, the way he interacts with his world in Bonanza, and I can't wait for that game. I can't wait. Tropical Freeze to me is always going to be a wonderful capsule of, in my view, the greatest take on what Rare first sent up back with DKC1. I think Retro just took the sense of place above anything else to a brand new sphere with this game. The way you really believe that all these like little fucking strange creatures live in this factory where they make jelly cubes and
of course
they have these amazing set pieces in these burning vistas with these big puppets of animals that you're jumping along. It just is such an imaginative but a cohesive game. And I think it is almost the best 2D platform ever made. Almost. Maybe you'll find out why I say almost later in the video, or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll die before you get to that point. But
totally possible.
Tropical Freeze from Retro is an astounding game.
Let's shift over to the first one of our community members who submitted their top 10.
True.
Mr. Phil the Pill, who's been with us for a long time, submitted his top 10 favorite Nintendo Switch games, and he did it quite in a similar style that we did. These are only Nintendo published games, only, it seems, Switch exclusives. His from 10 to 1, and we can pause on here if you want to talk about any of these. Number 10, Paper Mario, The Origami King. Number 9, Pikmin 4. Number 8, Metroid Dread. Number 7, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Number 6, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Number 5, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 4, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 2, Animal Crossing New Horizons. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Good list.
It's a really good list. And it also reflects a nice balance between your interests and my interests.
Yeah, and like I don't think there's anything we ought to talk about at this point because we're going to get to, I think, probably almost all of these games, unless you want to comment on the Origami.
Literally all of them. Yeah, no, that's the only one that's not going to be on either of our lists.
Yeah.
One of the only games we're going to talk about today on anyone's list that I've actually never played. I've never even started that game. I own multiple Mario RPGs on Switch. I think the only one I ever played even a little bit of was Super Mario RPG.
Super
I bought Brothership at
Mario
launch.
RPG.
Yes, I know. I've been saying that a lot lately because I think of the Adventures of Lola 1 and 2. And there's something, Dig Dug Fu Manchu, but I don't know what the something is. You remember what it is?
Adventures of Lola 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Dig Dug.
I've been saying Street Fight, which is not a game.
I say Hollow Knight, and that's obviously wrong.
No, you fucking do not.
Adventures of Lola 1 and 2. Hollow Knight, Dig Dug, Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Fu Manchu or Chu Man Fu?
I think it's Fu Manchu. Wait, that's a mustache. Whatever, man.
I don't know. That's a fake game.
What's my number 8? Me? I guess I need
Shout out to Phil. Shout out to Phil.
Shout out to Phil, who has my number 8 on his list, which is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Whoa. The only strategy game, SRPG, that I've ever really, really loved. There are other Fire Emblem games like Fate. No, not Fates. No, yeah, Fates. Yeah. Fates and Awakening that I've really, really enjoyed and played quite a bit of. But I've never gotten as invested in a Fire Emblem game as I did 3 Houses, and especially not... I mean, I don't actually think I've really almost ever played another SRPG. And for me, it was playing Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. Another thing that is, for me, so important about the Switch is introducing me to these series. And through the way that they reinvented them each for the Nintendo Switch, showing me where their value lied, but also twisting them enough to where they were appealing for someone who was a newcomer and not as hardcore. Because of something like Fire Emblem 3 Houses being a game that I really did love, I was able to go back and appreciate other Fire Emblem games. But Fire Emblem 3 Houses, in being a strategy RPG, but then also having the element where you can rewind time, you can restart battles if you want to. It's not as serious as something that had long been associated with Fire Emblem of your characters are fucking dead if they're dead. That is something that's always turned me off. I know that hasn't been true for a while.
Awakening changed that.
Yeah. But for 3 Houses, for me, obviously was my starting point for that. And on top of that, making it something that felt a little more lived in, like it had a sense of place. The Garreg Mach Monastery is, I think, a really excellent hub in terms of the way it has a unique vibe. You can sit in the courtyard and have tea with your friends. You remember going up to the guard that's standing there and says, good morning, Captain, nothing to report. You get in this flow, or at least I did, to where you go through the rounds when you're at Garreg Mach Monastery. A new day or a new week starts, and you check in with people. You buy your items here because the week is starting. You need to restock up. You go check in on your friends in their different dorm rooms. You know that this person's always going to be fishing or going to be having crumpets in the freaking courtyard, and it becomes a place where you feel like you have a sense of place, which I think really matches the Persona-esque time structure of the game. And then, of course, this game has what they wanted to do with Fate in having multiple paths that allowed for different stories, different perspectives on the same story, but all within the same game. And so I think that lends for, in the way that choosing your starter does, or your Pokemon game does in Pokemon, lends for a sense of personal connection to the story that you experience, because everyone who's played this game in their heart has a Black Eagles, Golden Deer, or Blue Lions that they are fucking ride or die for. And they will argue the pros and cons of Edelgard versus Klon versus Dimitri, and the political ramifications that this has, because this game not only has a narrative where you are, like Persona, or like many anime, getting connected to a group of high schoolers, ostensibly, but it also then, you get connected to them, you learn about their, in groups and the people they like and they don't like, and the sort of high school drama element of it, which is a little bit kind of kitschy and cute and classic anime. But then it becomes a fucking war game, because there's a 10-year time skip. They have these grizzled designs. Some people have fucking died, and they all then have to find their place in the military. Gee, what a fucking great idea for a game, is attaching you to your soldiers, not only because they're people that you know and have a fucking 1 out of 5 bond with or whatever, but because you watched them grow up. You saw them be children and squabble, and now those squabbles are over the entire country of Fodland, and when they're in charge of armies or in charge of a castle, it's no, I remember that when that guy was ostensibly in fucking diapers. And that really was special to me. I've never played another game like that. I'm sure that there are I don't know, fucking Atelier or East or all these fucking, like, maybe one of those also would scratch that itch. But Three Houses was the one that introduced it to me, and I thought it was remarkable. I think on the whole, the art style is really strong. I love the way the characters look. There are some textures that aren't the best, but I think that it's a good evolution of what Fire Emblem was before. And I just think it's a remarkable game. I think it's really well voice acted.
Yeah.
Very rare for a Nintendo game. I think it's well written. I think the music is excellent. And I think that the turn-based strategy is also really good. I love when you attack someone and the camera shifts down into this full 3D environment and you get to see like a crowd of guys going on. And that like adds a little bit of strategy because you can like form your soldiers into different, I don't know, didn't really get into that part. But it's a great evolution on everything that I think made Fire Emblem special. But I think this is the ultimate version of that. I adore that game. I was fucking addicted to it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's certainly the best Fire Emblem on the system. And I think that what's great about Fire Emblem always, and what Three Houses doubled down on, is you were talking about that personal connection.
Yeah.
And I think that is what makes the game so special. And so I think it was a shrewd decision to add that Persona-style life sim side on. And for me, it was made even more exciting by the fact that I was playing with permadeath and without rewinding if somebody died.
Yeah.
So by the time I'm at the end of the game and I'm like going and talking to people at the camp and I have like literally 5 units left because I'm also not that great at Fire Emblem, it really adds a great sense of stakes and tension. I think that game's really good, and I'm excited to see the next proper new Fire Emblem, and I hope that it takes more cues from there opposed to engage.
Yes.
I think enhance and then advance when that's not right.
Fire Emblem Enhance.
Enhance.
Honestly, just as stupid as Fire Emblem Engage. Yeah. Not a good name for a game.
It's a fun
Three
game.
Houses.
I didn't play that much.
Yeah. I'll give it another shot at some point, but I love Three Houses. Your number 8, sir.
A game that would never be on your list in a million years. It's Kirby's Dream Buffet.
It's a good game.
I love this game. This game is a staple for Jean and I in our multiplayer rotation. I think that the fact that Kirby is a sphere hasn't been so well utilized in the last couple decades. Because back in the 90s, you used to get fucking pinball, you used to get block ball. They're like, this guy's a Dream Course, amazing game. This guy's a ball. What can you do with a ball? And then for a long time, they would even turn characters who aren't balls into balls, like Mario. Exactly.
That guy was never a ball. Samus, ball. Okay, that makes sense. Sonic, ball. Okay, makes sense. Mario, they loved balls in the 90s. What was up with that?
Nintendo has forgotten about spheres. But I think what's so great about the game is that it has such a distinct sense of place, even though everything's made out of food. Like, you're playing these stages and you're like, God damn, I'm in a frying pan and this egg looks better than the egg that I cooked in real life in my kitchen.
Yeah, it is visually very good.
It's a beautiful game, and there's this idea of like playing.
And you're a bad cook.
Yes. This idea of playing with your food, I feel like, is central to this game. And it's just so fun as you roll around and you collect strawberries and you race each other, you battle each other. I love a game that has a simple idea executed on to its fullest. Mm-hmm. Now, I totally get that this game could have been a bigger thing. It could have been a $60 package. It could have had like Tilt and Tumble single player levels, whatever. Yeah. Totally get that. But I think that the parameters that the game was operating within, $20 downloadable multiplayer only, to that bill, I think the execution was top notch. And we still have so much fun to this day. Not this exact day, to this month, if you'll accept that. Fine. So much fun returning for a couple rounds, just jumping in and out. I think it really, to me, got me so excited about the future of Kirby. That and Forgotten Land together really felt like we were moving out of this era of heavy iteration and sort of a lack of imagination in the spin-off games. Because for so long, the spin-off games were the same couple Coliseum style multiplayer things or modes from 3DS games broken out into barely bigger downloadable games.
Barely games.
Barely. And obviously,
it's an insult to software to call them software.
Sure. And now obviously we have Kirby Air Riders coming out this year.
Yeah.
Which to me is
and Starcross World.
Yeah, we're just on this continual incline for Kirby, and not only is it a great multiplayer game from HAL, I think Dream Buffet was sort of the stretch before the leap of a proper now full priced Kirby spinoff, which we've not had since Battle Royale, I guess. But I didn't even fucking play that game. Nobody played that game.
No.
The last one of consequence since Mass Attack. Now you're gonna say no one played Mass Attack. Who gives a fuck? I played Mass Attack.
Wasn't Epic Yarn after that?
No, I think Mass Attack was 2012 or 2011.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, it was like a year later.
Yeah, Epic Yarn was 2010.
Yeah. No, yeah, great pick. I know genuinely how much you actually do play this game. You consistently bring it up that it's something that you revisit. And I think it's very cool as a spin-off, again, made in-house by HAL and feeling very high quality and very different. So yeah, Kirby had a solid presence on Switch. I'm hoping that Switch 2 does a little bit more with the character. I hope that there's more games, frankly, because I do think that Kirby and his spinoffs feel like a constant that was only partially there on Switch. But this was that example, alongside actually F-Zero 99, of Nintendo actually having a better digital-only, smaller title, budget title presence than I think people give them credit for. And two of them are on your list.
Yeah.
Maybe more. I don't know.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. No good time. No stretchers. Good job.
Good time. Good movie. Unrelated. Very different.
Yeah.
Then good job.
Good boy. Good girl.
You call me that a lot.
Baby girl.
Whoa.
Whoa. That is both of our number 8s, which means it is time for another one of our community's top 10s. Let's go to the second person who submitted, which is going to be our friend Jace Thomas, whose top 10 goes a little something like this. His number 10 is Splatoon 3. His number 9 is Luigi's Mansion 3. His number 8 is Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Number 7, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Number 6, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Number 5, Pikmin 4. Number 4, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 3, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 2, Metroid Dread. And number 1, Super Mario Odyssey.
Epic.
Yeah, it's a great list. I think the only one on here that potentially neither of us will have on our list is Link's Awakening. I know it's not on my list. I'm pretty sure it's not on yours. That is a very good game. I'm excited to see that game kind of unshackled by its biggest issue, which is frame rate. Once it gets a patch, which I believe they announced on Switch 2, I think that game is going to be a lot better. And also, do you have Luigi Mansion 3 on your list?
I do not. Do you?
No, I don't. But that is a game that I have never said a bad thing about in any way.
It's excellent.
And it's actually very close to my top. Well, no, it's not. It's at my number 23, but that's just how good the Switch is.
Sure.
But I love that game. Every time someone brings up that game, I'm like, God damn, Luigi Mansion 3?
Yeah.
Jeez. And especially for me as someone who did go back and play Luigi's Mansion, and I think that's a good game. And from what I know about Dark Moon, it's a little bit hit or miss. Luigi Mansion 3 is what Luigi Mansion is in my mind. It is that realization of this sort of Nintendo-esque Resident Evil game where there's actually like a bunch of different rooms and a more substantial campaign that you're going through. And it gave us Luigi, who the two of us love. And so I just think that's an amazing game. I think that the visuals are really top-notch. The animation is really top-notch. It's really, really well designed. Lots of hidden nooks and crannies, which I love out of my games. And it was one of those games that I'm like, I need to play this. And it took like 4 or 5 years. And I finally eventually got around to it. I'm like, no, yeah, people were right. Like, this is just an excellent game.
Yeah, I love both of these. I mean, those are both games in the fall of 2019.
Yeah, true.
Both
what
games.
What a great little window there.
Yeah, that was an amazing portion of generation.
Summer to fall of 2019.
Absolutely.
Mario Maker, Fire Emblem, Link's Awakening, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Astral Chain.
Not even an honorable mention for me because I just say it goes it's like a 7.5 for me, but it's a great 7.5. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 was also that summer.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really connect to that. You just go, I'm Wolverine. Blah, blah, blah.
That's why it's so awesome. But
yeah,
no, I echo everything you said.
I think that's the only Nintendo published game I've sold this generation.
Sure.
I was looking for my copy of that. I'm like, oh, I guess I got rid of that. Because, trust me, no one would ever ask to borrow my copy of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order. So I must have sold it if I don't have it anymore.
I echo everything you said about Luigi's Mansion. So on the front of Link's Awakening, it is maybe maybe my favorite 2D Zelda game.
Sure.
I think for me, I've tried to play the Game Boy version, and I had limited experience with the Game Boy version via 3DS Virtual Console before the remake, but I just never connected to it. I think that the art style and the beauty of the world in the remake did a lot of heavy lifting for me, because I think that the whimsical feeling of Kahulan Island is really unparalleled.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the strange, wonderful characters you meet.
Well, no, it is paralleled. There's another game with that exact
That's true.
style.
It's paralleled by Echoes of Wisdom. Is that on your list?
No.
Not.
It's one paralleled.
Sure.
Not unparalleled. It's one paralleled.
That's also not on my list. I really love Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh yeah.
We did a really deep review of it last fall. I think that the 2D Zelda offerings on Switch this generation were quite wonderful. I really had a great time with both of them. But Jase,
you done good.
You done good. You have Pikmin 4, just confirming. No list has missed Pikmin 4 so far. So far, so good.
Won't keep it up, but it's fine. Now we're on. Whoa, my computer's doing something weird.
We're on to number 7.
Okay, number 7 for me. We're going back to the land of the pocket monsters. This is Pokemon Legends Arceus at my number 7, and everything that I said about Pokemon Violet is simply better realized in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Except for the multiplayer thing, which I think is whatever. I mean, I wasn't expecting it. I hadn't gotten a active multiplayer game in the Pokemon series to that point. But Pokemon Legends Arceus is the active Pokemon game. It is not only the active Pokemon game, I think it is the turning point for the Pokemon series, that combined with Scarlet and Violet. Oh, also, I want to stipulate something real quick. In almost all of our games that we've talked about here, we've talked about here's the issue with the game. I talked about it with Scarlet and Violet. You talked about it with something you just talked about. When you talk, it kind of goes in one out the other.
Of course.
New rule, new mandate. No bringing up downsides for the rest of this video. Who gives a fuck? This is our favorite game.
Rubber stamp it.
I don't give a shit.
Rubber stamp it.
These games are fucking great. We love them. All right. But Pokemon Legends Arceus, I think that this is Pokemon to me. This is what I always imagined Pokemon was in my mind. When I was on the playground in elementary school with my friends, imagining that I had a Pichu and a Charizard with me, I didn't imagine that I would walk into tall grass and it would go. Of course, that's what I was being shown by Gen 4 and 3 and 4 and 5 that I was growing up with. But I imagined myself riding a Pokemon. I imagined myself with the Pichu following behind me. And when I'm catching a Pokemon, I am Ash Ketchum in the field, hiding behind the rock and throwing the Pokeball. And it took them 30 years, but they finally fucking did it. The game where you actually get to dodge roll the Pokemon that is trying to attack you. Because it's it's an evil ass fucking Snorlax that's charging at you. And you have to dodge out of the way and sneak up behind it and hide in the tall grass, because it's tall grass and the Pokemon can't see you, and throw the Pokemon at its back. And you get that super satisfying as you fucking... It's like... occasionally in a Pokemon game, you'll get the critical thing where it shakes once and it grabs it. But if you can do that consistently, if you sneak up behind them and position yourself and throw the fucking Pokeball, and it does this amazing little animation, and you're like, I caught a fucking Pokemon. And for me, it's always been about the Pokedex. It's always been about the world and the creatures and the environments that they live in. Part of the reason why I love a game like Sun and Moon so much is Alola feels like an ecosystem. All of the Pokemon they added there feel like they're part of the environment, and they relate to the different islands in different ways and stuff. That's why I love that game. This game takes that to the next level, where you see the Pokemon in the environment and you're like, oh, well, of course they're going to be there. And of course they're hanging out in little ponds and little groups together. And of course there's the one big daddy one, 3 little small ones going behind it. And then you're incentivized to not only just catch one of them and then kill all the rest of them, to catch a bunch of them, because that's how you progress in this game. And not only it does do that, but then the Pokedex is not oh, you caught it, you read it once because that's kind of funny and it shows you that at the beginning. You are actively working on the Pokedex. Something I've always thought about with Pokemon is, why do the professors want you to complete the Pokedex? They already know it all. They wrote the fucking things. They've got that information somewhere in a fucking computer in their PC. Why do you have to go do it again? I'll go do it. I love doing it. But why?
Sure.
But when you are with Professor Laventon in ancient Sinnoh called Hisui, he pissing his pants when he sees a Caterpie. You are the brave fucking soldier from the future. I don't know how people feel about that, but whatever. From the future that is out there like teaching people to relate to Pokemon. And then they also, Abram, they added actual side quests to fucking Pokemon. Meaningful character interactions and things to go do in the environment that aren't just find an item behind a rock. It is catch this Pokemon, do this thing, use this item, study the way it uses this move so the people can understand what is going on. And you're also not just moving through each environment, each town one by one, which there's a lot of Pokemon towns I love, but a lot of them end up feeling like pit stops along the way. I'm like, okay, I'm just ready to go on to the next thing. But with Jubilife Village, the place that you are working alongside and watching grow and building up over the course of the game, it is one of the best realized places in the entire series. And so everything that I love about Pokemon is realized better here in this game than almost any other one. There are a few Pokemon games that I have a deeper personal connection to because I played them more times or because I grew up around them. But I think Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game. Especially for the reason I come to Pokemon, which isn't for the battling, or especially not competitive battling, but is for the world that it creates. And it is the best realized world in the whole history of the series. So I adore Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah, I think a really good thing that it does also is, like, you talk about a lot of the things in Scarlet and Violet, and that's kind of, in my view, taking to the natural conclusion ideas already in Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think what's special about Legends Arceus is the way that it really looks afield for inspiration as well.
Yeah,
like you can point to a lot of...
It's more Monster Hunter than Pokemon.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, the not only...
Wild Hearts.
Or Wild Hearts, probably a more apt example. Not only in the larger boss encounters, but just in the structure of these segmented open worlds. I mean, there's a lot of cues taken elsewhere, and I think that that's really important and really good, and I'm really excited to see all of that stuff paid off in ZA later this year.
Yeah, because to that point, Pokemon had always taken inspiration from itself.
Yeah.
And it felt like a Ouroboros, where it was just like eating its own tail of like trying new ideas, then never bringing them back or whatever. But it's important that a team like Game Freak that has been so established looks outside of themselves for what they can do better, and I think they did in Legends Arceus.
My number 7, I'm cheating. I have 2 games. Because I just...
Literally every time we make a list, you cheat somehow. I don't know if I ever have, actually. So, just, it's a moral thing.
I'm cheating because I'm saying Splatoon.
Oh. That's fair enough.
There's elements...
I think I know the exact reason why you're saying
Go ahead. Tell it to me. I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Because you love both the games.
Yes.
But you played way more Splatoon 2 than Splatoon 3. But you think Splatoon 3 is probably the better game, but you played more Splatoon 2.
Yeah, I find that's basically it. And there's still things about Splatoon 2 that I love that I don't feel like has been replaced in Splatoon 3. Not only, obviously, things that simply don't exist there, like Octo Expansion. But I think that, like, the
Wait, what the hell? Why did they add an Octo Expansion to Splatoon 3?
Whoa.
The fuck?
They didn't re-release the DLC for the old game and the new game and the different game. I think that these games together represent not only a big chunk of my playtime on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, totally.
But they also represent the real affirmation, crystallization of the position of Splatoon in Nintendo's wider catalog.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of my favorite Nintendo series ever. I think that...
Yeah, Splatoon was popular for a Wii U game.
Yeah.
Splatoon 2 and 3 are popular video games.
I think that, to me, there's certain things about map design and specials that make Splatoon 1 the most fun multiplayer experience. Mm-hmm. I think that game benefited a lot from the gamepad too. But what 2 and 3 offer in a unique way, and not just refinements, broadly speaking, to like multiplayer infrastructure, is a real set of excellent single player experiences. And I think that this often gets overlooked in the conversation around Splatoon.
Sure.
The Octo expansion I really love, Side Order I really love, but the Splatoon 3 base campaign in particular is such a remarkable experience that feels like it's grand in scale and really celebrates how much world building these games have. And obviously there's deep lore. I don't fucking know any of it. I'm just simply talking about the very singular sense of style and place of the Splatoon world. Its core cast of characters, it's been growing over time. Mm-hmm. I just love these games. And I think that while Splatoon 4, it would be a good opportunity, hopefully, to kind of take things in maybe a little bit of a different direction. Splatoon 2 and 3 capping off what is ostensibly like a first trilogy of Splatoon games.
Well, it literally is. You don't have to use fucking air quotes on that. That's just objectively true.
Well, that's just, I guess that's just true. But I'm...
it's numerically accurate.
Numerically accurate, certainly. I'm really happy with how they've proven that Splatoon is not only here to stay, but Splatoon is punching at a weight in its art direction, in its imagination that is higher than these Nintendo franchises that are literally 4 times its age.
Sure, absolutely.
And that really means a lot to me, on top of just how wonderful the core mechanics of Splatoon are. But we've obviously litigated it many, many times. I think that Splatoon is just getting to this really great point to me, like a lot of my best or favorite shooters, like the Halo series have, where there's this single-player campaign experience that is as important to the world and the experience as multiplayer. And Splatoon 3 really achieved that. And Splatoon 2 set the tone with the Octo expansion. And as you mentioned, I did just play a lot more Splatoon 2 than I did Splatoon 3. Yeah. That game really defined the first half of the generation for me.
Absolutely.
Really in part thanks to what was a slow but eventually great rollout of new content. Clam Blitz, I remember when that dropped. I was just so happy with it.
And you know what's sick in these two games?
Yeah.
Salmon Run. I fucking love Salmon Run.
Course.
Now, it's always been a little weird. You can only do it at certain times.
Yes.
But it kind of made it fun. Where I would I was on like a Splatoon Discord server and we're like, ring a ding ding. Guys, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to the mines. Dr. Grizz or whatever wants us to go do his dirty work.
Shift at Grizz.
Yeah, Grizz. And I also want to say that even though, on the whole, Nintendo series work best when they're once a generation, and there's a lot of time to cook between iterations, and their identity is then tied to that hardware. I think it's actually really important that Splatoon especially got 2 goes on one system. Not only primarily because I don't usually play multiplayer games for an extended, multiple years. Though I did with Splatoon 2. I probably played that game for 2 years on and off. And so I'm happy that it got a second game on the generation. So I could go play it again and get invested in the world again and play the multiplayer again without having to wait for a whole other generation of system. But because Splatoon 2 was really very similar to Splatoon 1. And it was a polishing of that, but the package was really not too different. But having Splatoon 3 to feel like a culmination of all that and to have some different ideas and to listen to feedbacks, particularly of the complaints with Splatoon 1 and 2, and then, add the emotes and add the little hub area before you start the match and do these things that the locker that you can customize that really makes it feel like a more modern multiplayer experience. It would have been really unfortunate if Splatoon, as a series that is as unique as it is, had to wait 7 years between games to get that next bite at the apple that most Nintendo series usually have to do. They have to wait that long amount of time between entries. And even though people complain about Splatoon 2 and 3 being maybe a little too similar and being on the same system, I think it was the right move. Not only because obviously Switch 2 came out later than we were expecting it was in 2021, 2022, but because I think they're both great games. And so I get 2 cakes that have pros and cons to each of them. Although I'm not going to talk about the cons because we rubber stamped that we're not supposed to do that.
No, you'll get your fucking head blown off by the sniper I have outside your house.
There actually is a really nice hill right there that it'd be difficult, but if you're skilled enough at sniping, you could sit up there at like someone's deck and just like really beam me good, you know.
You mean like
if anyone wants a fun weekend,
like a grassy knoll of some description?
It's much more than a knoll. I mean, this is like hundreds of feet tall, like cliff.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know what a knoll is.
It's just a small hill of sorts, probably. You know, let's say the Windows XP background. I think that's probably a knoll.
Fair.
Or have you ever been to Dallas?
No.
You ever seen the grassy knoll?
No, I haven't. Have you?
It's just a fucking small hill. Yeah, you've been there. It's just a small hill. There's a little X on the ground where he fucking died, where he got his shit pushed in.
Actually, his shit really had nothing to do with it because he got his head blown off.
Oh, that's a good point. Do I get to talk next about a game?
I mean, only if you're really good.
Okay. Have I been good enough?
Not quite, but you'll make it up to me later. I'll let you go again anyway.
Okay, fair enough. It's an IOU of goodness, basically.
You owe me some.
My number 6 is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Oh, what? Why are you pogging so much?
Oh, because that's a cool game.
It's a
Was that a fucking good enough excuse for you for fucking pogging a video?
Yeah, we do that quite frequently. I do think we need to do it more though. You know, bring a little joviality to our fucking videos. Oh, I love Breath of the Wild. I love Breath of the Wild. It is one of the best open world games ever made because it understands the meaningfulness of a world in a much better way than I think most games do. I think back to a lot of the open world games that I played pre Breath of the Wild and even post Breath of the Wild, and I don't really have a sense of place on the map. There are certain buildings I can recall. There are certain areas that are ostensibly levels that I can recall, but the way in which Breath of the Wild's map is so vast and simultaneously vast and interconnected, I think is really, really special. I remember the route I chose to take through that world because Breath of the Wild has this free-form approach to the way that you involve yourself in its campaign. You don't even have to do it if you don't want to, which is really crazy when you think about it from a design level. And also obviously adds like some really cool things for speedruns. But the fact that you can choose what order to take down the divine beasts in, the way that it uses the classic stereotype of clearing the fog of war through these towers. But the towers are not just towers because it's kind of cool and you can see out in the distance get a general sense, but because you have a fucking hang glider, baby. Or, well, it's not a hang glider, but it's a glider. And you can teleport up there and use those to get some extra distance. It's the best use of towers in a game.
Yes.
Until Tears of the Kingdom. And I think that all of the towns, especially, are so distinct and memorable. And I loved exploring each person's house and talking to them and getting these fun little side quests because Zelda, to that point, had a little bit of optional content that you can do if you want, you know, some extra rupees or whatever the fuck. But having these meaningful little side stories well integrated into the world really made me care about the land of Hyrule that is also in a very different place. Breath of the Wild is a very somber game and it's very unique in its tone. It's very much like Shadow of the Colossus or Eco or something.
Yes.
It's like a world in ruin where the people are not in the best place. And so I think that allows for Link as a character that I've always thought was pretty hit or miss to feel a lot more meaningful to the people that he's interacting with. Because you're one of the only people in Hyrule that is willing to go out and do the hard work. And so it means a lot to these people whose villages are ruined and whose generations have been lost by war for you to go out and, you know, you're going to get them 10 apples or whatever the hell, or defeat a little bokoblin camp. But like, that means a lot to these people. And so the world feels alive and interesting, and the amount of little weird side content, sort of mini games and stuff you can find, I think adds a lot of variety and life to the place. I love how, again, distinctive the towns are, especially in the non-Hylian races, when you visit Rito Village or visit Zora's Domain, that is a totally different experience in terms of the architecture and the color palette and the way that you traverse and explore these areas. I love it. And I adore the combat. And I adore the exploration. And I love riding around on a horse. And I love sneaking up and catching a bug and making a potion out of it and cooking something and getting some dubious food and talking to these wacky characters. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the best games ever made. It is a defining moment in my life because it's a game full of mystery that I especially loved sitting alongside other people and talking about. And I especially remember 2 moments when one of my friends told me there were dragons in the game. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking? Where's a fucking dragon? And then, an hour later or whatever, because we're playing this at a sleepover, I see something off in the distance, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And you see a dragon, like, holy shit! What am I supposed to do with that? You can't even fathom. It's like, oh, it's so fucking high up. It's so far away. How am I supposed to do that? But then you do it. And it's awesome. And also, I love my friend. I told my friend that you could dye clothes. Like, I wandered up into the village and I found the one place where you can dye clothes. I'm like, did you know you could do this? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he found it himself, and we compared the clothes that we were dyeing and stuff. It's like, it was a very communal experience for me. And so I love that game. Have nothing but good memories of it. Absolutely adore it.
Do you want me to talk about it now or when it appears higher in the list?
Yeah, respond now. That's fine.
Yeah, so this is my number 4 game.
Yeah.
I mean, Breath of the Wild to me is like, this is, if you have a shelf that could only fit 10 Nintendo games, this should be on that shelf.
Yeah, soon 2 of them will be that, because there'll be a Switch 2 edition.
True.
Oh, wait, but maybe 3, because there's a Wii U version too.
I really love everything you say about the game, and what I really want to build on is what you said about mystery.
Yeah.
When I played this game back in 2017, you're supposed to go to Kakariko Village pretty early on.
Yeah.
Like along the main quest, it's like one of the first things you're supposed to do. I didn't. I ended up down in Lurelin Village.
Cool.
And I remember
each one. Yeah.
I remember texting with a friend of mine who was playing at the same time, being like, "You'll never believe where I just ended up." Mm-hmm. And I remember like doing a major test of strength shrine and thinking, man, this is really fucking hard. And then later finding a minor test of strength shrine and realizing, oh wait, I did this shit out of order.
Yeah.
To me, it's similar to what you're saying about, realizing you can dye clothing and sharing that with a friend. Breath of the Wild has my favorite story in any game. Because the story isn't about defeating Ganon or about catching frogs or any of the shit that happens in the memories, right? It's about the fact that I've never played a game before or since, I guess was one for my list, that has captured in the same way this feeling where I'm crafting a story that really is my own. It really is one of one. And that was just so novel to where I can remember individual things. Finding Eventide Island for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting my first Talos. I mean, all of this stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I love that.
Like, that sticks in my head 8 years on in a way that I forget the story of games that I played 4 months ago, right?
Of course.
And that's just to say that I think that the space that EPD3 gave us to tell our own stories and to have our own adventures and be confident enough in the quality of the game and humble enough as designers to say, we're going to make this massive world, you're never going to see 60% of it. Mm-hmm. You're never going to learn 80% of all the interactions between items and mechanics. Yeah. That takes a real seasoned, skilled team. This is what Nintendo does better than anyone else. That intergenerational talent. You don't get Breath of the Wild unless you have guys like Aonuma and Fujibayashi as producer and director, building on decades of lessons learned, right? And I just...
because you can also feel that they're hungry to do something new. Yes. They've been doing these 3D Zeldas that are different in their own ways, but, much more similar than the jump to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
It's fucking time. We really want to do this. They knocked out of the park.
They really had something to prove with this game. And I don't think that, when I was looking forward to this game in 2014, 2015, poring over a 5-second clip they put out with a year of Link on a horse in a field.
And that's all you had for years.
I had no idea. We had no idea what was waiting for us. I remember people saying this game released in the same week as Horizon was going to kill Zelda.
Yeah. Did people really say that? I don't remember that. That's crazy.
People had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I can't believe it. I just think that this is. I think that there's a rare few examples beyond this. Stepping aside of myself, in the history of the industry, where Nintendo has really shown up and like talked their shit like this game. Even Tears of the Kingdom, for as bigger and it's better and it's got all these amazing ideas. That moment of showing up at Breath of the Wild and being like, this is what EPD3 has been cooking. Yeah. They might never do that ever again. And that's not a criticism. It's a fact that they were standing with their fucking balls dragging on the ground. This game was so huge.
Yeah. And the thing that I want to also drive home about this is that when you say we had no idea and people had no idea of what this game was going to do and what it would become, is because when it was announced, and for a while, we didn't know what Switch was.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that Switch and Breath of the Wild, that's the key. Switch and Breath of the Wild. It's not, honestly, even though I just espouse the quality of the game itself, which is remarkable, and I think one of the best games ever made, obviously. It is the fact that launched with Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
And not only a new system, so there was just general interest in it, but a new portable system that was visually just as great as the Wii U version, if not a little bit better, but that you could take with you. And so it wasn't limited to, if this was only a Wii U game, it'd probably sell 7 million copies. Maybe it would have pushed to sell a couple more million Wii U's, so maybe 10 million copies, but then people would have been, locked to their homes with it. They could take it to the shitter if they wanted to and had decent enough Wi-Fi or whatever. But having it on Switch and it being the perfect combined selling point of each of those things, of the being able to see someone on the fucking bus or on the playground playing this game, and at the time it being easily the most impressive handheld game ever made, being like, what the fuck is that? That sold probably half the copies of Breath of the Wild. And then, of course, it was a great showcase for what Switch was, but then it was also not only a great handheld game, but put on your fucking TV and it's just like you could play any other big open world Far Cry 4 or whatever it was at the time. The Switch is what made Breath of the Wild in the way that it was. It would not have been the same at all if this was a Wii U only game.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment. Like, would that have won Game of the Year if it was only on Wii U?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And would it have been as influential? Probably would have reviewed about the same, but maybe even not. I think that the novelty and excitement of it being the launch game and it being a revolution for Nintendo and being able to take it anywhere with you and making that open world more accessible to people. Like, you can spend 90 hours in this because you can take it anywhere with you. I think that the Switch made the game better. It made it bigger. And Wii U did, Breath of the Wild did the same for the Switch.
Absolutely. It's my turn again. Or no, wait.
Yeah, for 6.
It's your turn.
Well, it's the community's turn.
It's the community's turn. It's neither of our turns. I fucked up.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll get through it. Let's see. Oh, wait, that's the different channel. Okay. We talk about Phil. We talk about Jase. Next up is our friend Steven, who has a list that is different from the rest of ours, which is fine. Won't give him too much shit for it. Because he includes third-party games on his list. His list goes a little something like this. Number 10, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 9, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 8, Jackbox Party Pack 2.
Of course.
That's a fucking crazy pull. What? Let's see, what's in that? I mean,
Quiplash
and Fibbage.
So that's all you really need.
Quiplash 1, or Quiplash XL is in that. Yeah,
that's all you really need.
Yeah. And Fibbage is also great. I love Fibbage. Bidiots I don't really like. I don't even know what Bomb Corp is. Earwax, I don't even play that before. Whatever. Quiplash is all that matters, and that's a great pull. Number 7, Baba Is You. I don't think a game has made me more feel stupider. I don't think it's made me more feel stupider than a game like Baba Is You.
I never played it. I knew that I would.
That would drive you fucking bananas.
I knew that one was a little further afield than I'm able to traverse.
His number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey. At number 5, he has Balatro. Number 4, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 3, Dark Souls. He has the wrong edition of Dark Souls on here. Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition did not release on Nintendo Switch. It was Dark Souls Remastered. -1 life point for you. Number 2, Into the Breach. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Introducing a little variety in there, showing the impact of indie games through Balatro, Baba, and Into the Breach. And also featuring a number of the games that we have/will have on our list.
Just interesting, out of curiosity, how different would your list be if you included third-party games, you think? It doesn't matter individual titles, but do you think it'd be radically different for you?
Probably. I love a lot of indie games, and I played most of my indie games on my Switch. Yeah, that's interesting. I can get you an answer by the end of this video if you want.
I think I will probably hang myself on camera, and you won't be able to stop me if you don't give me the answer. So,
okay, fair enough.
I don't think my list will be too different. I don't think.
Because the interesting thing is like games that are available on Switch, or that I played on Switch. Because most of my favorite games are available on Switch.
Yeah, likewise.
But I didn't necessarily play them on Switch.
Like, am I going to put Star Wars Battlefront 2 via the Galactic Collection? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But, like, I'd probably put Short Hike on there.
I'd put a Short Hike probably on mine. Like, games like...
SteamWorld Dig 2.
Like Ikaruga, I'd probably put on there. Monkey Ball Banana Rumble could get on there.
Mm-hmm. Stardew for me. Yeah, there's some
first way I played DMC 3 was on Switch.
Oh, sure.
And that's also the best version of that game, so DMC 3 would be on that list. So it'd be a different list, but I do want to shout out on Steven's list, which I lost and I found again.
Oh.
Actually, I don't want to shout anything out. I changed my mind.
Really?
I changed my mind. Steven, well done. Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
You get away this time. Unscathed. Number 5? For me.
Wait, is it number 5 already? Right?
Wait, how the fuck did that happen?
I didn't do number 6.
Okay, then you talk. Whatever, man. We'll get through them. We can talk about the fucking game.
Only God knows how these things happen. Okay.
Because you skipped one. You skipped a 4.
No, but that shouldn't affect things until we get up there.
Whatever.
My next game, number 6, Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Oh, yeah, what a game.
This is my favorite 2D platform ever.
Yeah.
I think... What do you even say about Wonder? What do you say about a game like this, Tucker? What do you say about a fucking video game made like this by Nintendo EP10? I think what you say is that this game, my praise of it has to echo my praise of Breath of the Wild because it's illustrative of why Nintendo and their creative process, their development timelines are... Yeah. They're operating on everybody else is playing fucking checkers, but like every other checker is like radioactive and gives you cancer. Yeah. And then Nintendo's playing chess with like the most beautiful ivory chess pieces ever, but not ivory from an elephant's tusk, some other kind of ivory. No elephants harmed.
Ivory colored.
Ivory colored. Speaking of elephants in this game, elephant power.
Hey!
Whoa.
I love that shit.
It's amazing how many people that worked on Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. 1985 worked on Super Mario Brothers Wonder in 2024.
40 years later. Yeah. 38.
39, right?
No.
5 minus 4 is 1.
Oh, well, because, we think of 85, but it's really 84, right?
No, it is 85. This game came out in 2023, and this is not 2024 anymore.
No, I know, but
I was saying you're right. It's 38 years later. But for me, when we're early in the year like this, I sometimes still think I'm in the previous year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what year did the Famicom release? Did this release alongside?
No. The Famicom released with Donkey Kong. No, that's also wrong. The Famicom released with Mario Brothers. Donkey Kong came out later, and then Super Mario Brothers launched.
You're right. It is 85. Okay.
Yes. None of this is fucking important. The point is that this same core group of people been at
I'll
Nintendo.
go ask Jeremy Parrish. I bet he knows.
He probably does know. Fucking weirdo for knowing that information.
What a jackass.
For 40 years, these guys have been at Nintendo working on Mario. And they got to Wonder, and they said, and they literally said this, you should go read the As a Developer interview about this game. They said, where do we go after Mario Maker 2?
Yeah.
And the answer is that we go to a place of incredible imagination. And we shift the reason you play 2D Mario to the intrinsic joy of experiencing and reveling in this the boundless imaginations we have as designers.
Sure.
And the way that every level feels so distinct. The way that you could like make a tier list of Mario Wonder levels and not be a fucking psychopath, because if you did that for New Super Mario Brothers 2, you'd have to probably be euthanized for being able to tell the difference between those stages.
Yeah.
As much as I really do like New Super Mario Brothers. The amount of the ideas per square inch.
Hold on. You remember the donkey joke?
No.
About,
yes.
Tropical Freeze in Mario U? The joke goes something like this. It's like, look at these 4 levels from Tropical Freeze versus the 4 levels
he goes the 4 levels from Tropical Freeze versus the 1 level from...
1 level from Mario U. Yeah. And then the joke is it's actually 1 level from Tropical Freeze and 4 from Mario U.
Yes.
It's a great bit. Can't do that for Wonder.
Mario Wonder is unified only by a drive to make the player feel joy. And if you're and with a game that's eclectic, that's the best drive to have.
Sure. And
I love every second of this game. I think it's the only game I've ever 100%ed, except for the standees, but they don't count because that shouldn't even be in the game.
Yeah.
Just the way Elephant Mario looks and walks and moves should be enough to put this game right in their fucking rafters. I mean, it's just crazy, man. That Elephant Mario. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, they are fucking doing formulas that Eisenhower would fucking kill himself if he saw. This is a level of...
Who do you think Eisenhower is?
I meant to say
Say Einstein,
but then I almost said Eisenstein. Also wrong. They said Eisenhower.
No, also wrong.
They're doing calculations in the fucking creative planes and dimensions that we'll never know about. It'll take thousands of years for scientists to reach where EPD-10 reached with Mario Wonder.
Sure.
I mean, this game is made by not gods. It's made by like fucking like flickers of dust.
Fourth-dimensional beings.
Yeah, they're like pixie dust moving through the universe. They're an unknowable force of imagination that doesn't come out of people, man.
Yeah,
you gotta put them in fucking SCP containment breach because there's something afoot about their biology because they made this game. I swear on my life, this is the best 2D platform ever made. I love Mario Wonder.
I like what you started with. No, I like the whole thing. But I especially thought it was interesting what you started with. Yes. The idea of the amount of time that went into this game. And because you mentioned development timelines, something that the industry is very acutely aware of right now. As development timelines get longer and longer, and it still feels like if you work on a big game for 7 years, that is barely coming out the door. That it's like, damn, we could have used another 6 months on this. But with Nintendo, and especially with Mario Wonder, they took... I guess they only took 4 years to make this.
But the point is they were given no timeline.
Exactly, no timeline. And so, and when you think about it in like, when was the last time a core 2D Mario came out? It obviously becomes a lot longer. But they were given free reign. And if they had pushed this game to come out earlier, it would be worse for it. And of course, that's true for every game, but especially in the way that they operated here of not only giving free reign for imagination, but then free reign for polish. I mean, they revisited every animation here and every way that you enter a pipe and pick up an item and transform and the sound effects and everything. It's a ground level, totally new recipe for Mario, which is something that this series had been sorely needing for a decade plus at that point. And I love this game. I love this game, and it's the only Mario game that I ever really think about, only 2D Mario game especially, that I really think about revisiting, because I'm like, I will still feel like there's something new to find, even though I also 100%ed the game.
Yeah.
It has so much going on that it might, some ideas might get a little lost in the shuffle, but if you were to revisit them, you're like, oh, look at that. That's look at that. That's kind of funny.
That's such a good point, because they get lost in the shuffle not because they're underwhelming ideas, but because there's so many amazing ideas in the game.
Yeah.
And again, it's a confidence thing. It's you took all this time, you had a bunch of level concepts, you shelved ones that in any other game would be the highlight. You only kept the absolute best X%, and then you put all those back to back to back to back.
Yeah, and we said this exact thing about Asobi and Astrobot last year, which is an amazing game. And where that game works on its everyone introducing ideas and not having a particular development timeline.
Yeah.
And it operates on like a 10. They're working on like a 15 here.
They're working on a 3 million here.
Whoa! That's a lot. That's a lot. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is not 300,000 times better than Astrobot.
I think it's 400,000
No, you fucking do
better.
not. And it's only your number 6.
By the way, is it on your list?
No, it's just outside.
Ooh.
Just outside my top 10. And I think that's only because 2D platformers are not the genre that I like get obsessed with. I obviously I 100%ed Wonder. I did that in like a week. Every other game here I spent like 2 or 3 weeks with, just because it is a smaller package, which is fine. I love that, but it's my number 13.
For a while, I was thinking like I know everything on your list, and then I'm like, oh, actually, I don't think I know everything on your list. And then I remembered, I forgot that they released all these goddamn Xenoblade games.
Yeah.
So Tucker, give me what is maybe your number 6, your number 5. I don't fucking know where we are in the...
It's definitely my number 5. I know how to read the numbers right, and I've also talked about 5 games already.
Whoa.
My number 5. Sorry. I was just thinking about Pikmin 4 for a second there. There was a little bit of like bodily fluid oozing out of me, and I won't tell you where. Pikmin 4 is so fucking good, man. I get chills thinking about how much I enjoyed this game because it satisfies almost all of my video game urges. Number one urge that I often have for video games is little guys. I love a little guy.
Of course.
And pound for pound, I mean, I don't know, there might be something like Tamagotchi, a lot of fucking little guys in that. But pound for pound, Pikmin 4 has a incredible density of little guys to square size. I love the aesthetic of Pikmin, always have, but Pikmin 4, especially with the way that it innovated for the limited scope that the series has had, but especially had pre-Pikmin 4, in shifting the camera down a little bit to make you feel more immersed in this world and show you that you are a little guy and things are really towering above you. You can go under the bench and see the bottom of the bench. And that's how fucking tiny you are. It's not that Oliver goes under the bench and you can't see him anymore. It's you're down there, buddy. Buster, you're a little fucking dude in this game.
Yeah.
And I love collecting things in video games. I mentioned that with why I love Pokemon, and also could have mentioned it for why I love Breath of the Wild, is the idea of around every nook and cranny is something cool to discover and to add to my fucking catalog of sorts. And Pikmin 4 also really, really satisfies that.
Yes.
Not only because I think it has, for me, easily the best set of levels in the Pikmin series. I think they're all quite excellent, and they're all a lot more memorable to me. There's a lot more variety there. But then it also has the caves. It also has the areas that you can go down in 100%, and those are designed, which I think it learns so much from each of the other Pikmin games. Where it's like, caves are a good idea in Pikmin 2, but they don't work for everyone because they're randomized to some degree. But we understand that having these sub areas that you can 100% complete and allow us for a little bit of flexibility in our design is a good idea. So let's take that forward, but let's handcraft everything this time. So they do ultimately feel like little Pikmin designed dungeon crawlers. And then there's fucking Ochi. And Ochi completely overhauls the entire identity of Pikmin. I'm going to be honest. Ochi's the best Pikmin character. Olimar's fine. Louie's silly. Alf, Brittany, Charlie, I like him enough. And I like the cast of little guys. There's plenty of fucking little guys in this game in terms of the
do you have a favorite creature? Because for me, it's the burrowing Snagret.
Oh, from the whole series?
Well, yeah, but burrowing Snagret's in Pikmin 4, and there's also
of course it is.
baby burrowing Snagrets.
Yeah, those are great. I love those guys.
Great.
I'll have to look at it. I'll have to think a little bit. But Ochi is, I think, the best Pikmin character because you become Ochi. Ochi's alongside you, but you're using Ochi for fucking everything in this game. And okay, you might level that as a criticism. I do not give a shit because Ochi is funny. He is silly. He looks good, and it looks stunning. Absolutely.
He's jocular.
And he increases your ability fucking 20-fold. You can swim in the water now. Your Pikmin hop on the back. You can you do all sorts. He can charge through fucking vases, so it's not as annoying to clear things. It is, for me, I love polishing of video game mechanics, and I like a lack of friction. And Pikmin 4, I think, strikes a perfect balance of friction and lack of friction. It's not super easy to do everything in this game, but it never feels like the game on a control level is fighting against you. You always do feel in control of what you're doing, which is something that's very meaningful to me. I mean, a lot of that comes through Ochi. And then also, there's a hub world, and you can upgrade your suit and unlock new abilities, and there's night missions, and there's little guys you get to talk to, so there's a sense of camaraderie. And the Pikmin universe is expanded because there's people from all across the Pikmin universe that are coming to this planet for different reasons. You have to rescue them, which makes the collectibles more meaningful, and you're building up this base, and they build little areas, and they sit in particular areas. So much like Garrigmach Monastery, you introduce each day, and you go talk to this guy and upgrade this, and you go talk to them and see what's new with these characters. It's a remarkable game. And it's so much more substantial than the other Pikmin games in terms of its scope and its length. And that really made me sit with the game a lot more because I'm not a replayer. If I'd replayed Pikmin 1 or 2 a bunch of times, I think I'd know those games a little better, obviously. But I don't feel like I need to do that with Pikmin 4 because the experience itself is so substantial. I spent like 20 hours with this game, something like that. I think it's a masterpiece, and I absolutely love it.
Tucker, we're going to segue right into number 4 here because my number 4 is Pikmin 4. It's perfect. It's
the right place to put it because it has that in the title.
I
fucked up.
You know, it's interesting because I've been replaying, literally like concurrent to recording this, I've been replaying Pikmin 2. Which I like a lot, but it is my least favorite of the core Pikmin games. Yeah. In large part because of the caves, because I'm in these caves in Pikmin 2 and I'm thinking, man, I'm losing a sense of place. I want to be back in the overworld. I think that the caves in Pikmin 4 are so good, and it's illustrative of what makes this game so special, which is I feel like it takes the best of every Pikmin game before it and rolls it all up into one. Yeah. That is not only a best of, but a very new experience.
Absolutely. And there's more new ideas in Pikmin 4 than almost all the other ones combined.
Yeah, and I mean, what's cool about this game is EPD10 and Miyamoto have been really open in the Asset Developer interview, which I think is the most fascinating one they've done. In the whole series, Asset Developers, where they're talking extensively about how they want this game to reach new people and how they've always been confused why Pikmin's not a bigger series. And and I feel like you can really see the changes they've made in the game, for better and worse. But we've rubber stamped the no criticisms here, right?
Yes.
I
frankly, I'm very mad that you even brought up that word.
I know. I should have said better or not better.
That still implies criticism, though. So, thin ice.
Better and other. For better and other.
Thin ice that you can make with an ice Pikmin, which are also in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fucking ghoul Pikmin or whatever.
Yeah, the glow
Those
Pikmin.
Are silly. Glow Pikmin, yeah.
Oh my god, I just accidentally put my chair down. I thought I fucking fell through the floor. Again.
I thought you just shrank a little bit.
Again. To me...
Wait, what do you mean again? Did you fall through your floor before? What does that imply?
I don't want to answer that. I want to talk to you, Tucker, about theme park design. Theme parks, I don't know if you know this, Tucker, they exist in the real world. But you don't feel...
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I just wanted to make sure you're with me so far. They don't feel like they do because of forced perspective and very careful design. Replaying Pikmin 2, and I've also been playing Pikmin 3 with Jean, both obviously post Pikmin 4, has made me realize how the different camera, like being in a theme park with those forced perspective angles make you forget the outside world, brings you into the world of Pikmin in such a different and exciting way than the top-down perspective. The isometric is awesome. I love that, but I think we did everything we could with that style design in Pikmin 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Pikmin 4 said, let's take the spirit of Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 and let's channel it in this new way.
Yeah.
And that new way is just so inviting, which is interesting because, again, playing Pikmin 2 right now, reflecting on Pikmin 4, this is not a fucking inviting game by any stretch of the imagination. But the universe of Pikmin has room for both.
Yeah.
And giving us the opportunity to just
we need the Pikmin Souls game.
Maybe it already exists based on the parlance of video game discourse and how we talk about Souls.
Sure. No one's been calling things the Souls of blank in a long time. That you're 6 years out of date with that one. What was the last game you think someone called the Souls of a genre?
I would say probably Dark. What's the game that came out recently? Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition.
All right, continue.
But I love that they said, let's compromise on some core elements of Pikmin.
Yeah.
And let's see what else we can do with this framework. And what they did is it gave us this world to escape into. And to me, it's so amazingly realized. And I love how you really come to understand how every little puddle is a hurdle. And every space under a park bench, the space under that parabola, is a place for you to explore and to live and to wander.
Yeah.
And I love just wandering in this game. The vibes are something else.
Yeah.
And I just think that it was the rubber stamped vision of, look, man, you can say whatever you want, but Pikmin might have the best world building art direction of any game ever made ever. Mm-hmm. Look at these little guys. Look at them. And I love getting to look at them for 25 hours, however long I played it for. More than you, of course, because I'm better than you. Pikmin 4 is wonderful. A deeply wonderful game. More wonderful than Mario Wonder, which is why it's higher on the list.
Oh. Is that your criteria for ranking things?
Yeah, it's a sliding scale of wonderment.
It's fair enough.
From no to max, but interesting, Mario Wonder's not the max. It's the medium.
Sure. Wow, that's amazing. I'm just looking at a list of enemies here. I think my favorite Pikmin 4 enemy is the little one that looks like an egg. You know, it's kind of like a little slug guy, but he's got there's also the one that's like a watermelon. I like that guy, the little fucking elephant watermelon guy. That's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
That's a great fucking guy. Well, there's also like the one that's like a porcupine. It's like a little red porcupine. I like that guy a lot.
There's one thing I forgot to mention, though, Tucker. Pikmin 4 hides within its bones.
Pikmin 1.
Pikmin 1.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite Pikmin game.
Yeah, amazing. And
when I found Olimar Shipwreck Tale, it was like I found a crude oil deposit under my home.
Wow.
But actually good.
And then you were like, oh boy, I can start fracking.
Because if there's one thing a series like Pikmin does, it makes you want to frack. It makes you want to harm the environment. But no, seriously, when I realized that they really just were like, you know, let's put the fucking dial in in crazy mode position.
Yeah.
And let's give...
It's totally unnecessary.
Yeah. It could have been, I've said this a million times, it could have been a DLC in 2024. It could have been in the year of our Lord 2025, a Switch 2 edition.
And it would have been your favorite game of that year.
Oh, it certainly would have been. Because it really is a remake of Pikmin 1. I mean, how the fuck, why did they do that? It's just crazy. Yeah. That was like if you get shot, and then if you get shot by somebody in a hit and run, and then they come back and drive over you. It's like, you fucking already got me, man. You don't have to do it twice. But instead of getting shot and run over, you're getting blessed with a beautiful game and then blessed with the best piece of DLC. It's not even DLC because it's in the game. The best side mode ever conceptualized.
Best piece of C. Content.
True. Well, actually, there's content above it on the list still.
Oh! Excellent point. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we have talked about 2 more games, so I can go to someone else's list.
If you have to. Wait, did you have to do number 4?
No. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
But remember, Pikmin 4 was my number 4.
Yeah, because whatever. Look, I talked about 2 games. we're going to do another list. Let's talk about a couple of games that Scruffy brought up here. This is not a top 10 because he says, I'll refrain from making a top 10. But two games I want to highlight are Pikmin 4 and Xenoblade 3. Pikmin 4 was a wonderful way to capitalize on the growing fan base that came from Pikmin 3 Deluxe and recontextualize a lot of what I loved about previous games into something a lot more cohesive. As a diehard fan, I didn't really care that the timeline seemingly reset itself for the sake of having interesting new settings. I think the use of abandoned human locations is genius and adds to the scale that I think was missing from Pikmin. Pikmin 3 was better, but I think 4 is the best in that regard. It's a wonderful game. And then for Xenoblade 3, he says, Xenoblade 3 is one I want to highlight for just how affecting its story was. Monolith Soft are wizards in their own right, but Xenoblade 3 felt like a cut above what they'd done previously in the series. Everything felt so cohesive and the story was so cutting that it sat with me for years. It's undoubtedly my favorite RPG of all time, and I still can't believe it came out earlier than initially announced.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Monolith Soft went freako mode on this fucking system, dude.
Go to BLB Archives and watch our video about how Nintendo's 2022 changed forever. When that game swapped release dates with Splatoon 3.
Why don't you talk about Xenoblade for a little bit while I go to the bathroom?
All right, folks.
I've given you a mandate. You must do it.
Okay, folks. Here's the thing about Xenoblade. You got Shulk. You got Iron. No, sorry. Iron is from Sin and Punishment Star Successor. You got Shulk. You got Bayonetta. No, sorry. That's from Bayonetta's from Bayonetta. You got Shulk. You got Ryan. It's always Ryan time. So it's like Jimmy Buffett said. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere. It's always Ryan time somewhere. I don't know where that fits on the clock. You also got Melania. She's from Elden Ring. You got Cameo. No, that's from Cameo Elements of Power. You got you have Jumpin' Flash. No, he's not from Jumpin' Flash. I don't remember another name of a character.
Well, okay, Jumping Flash. How did you get?
I was naming characters from Xenoblade.
All right, I can't wait to watch that segment of the video. Let's go to my number 4, which is Animal Crossing New Horizons, a game that I will not talk about my criticisms of because we're not allowed.
You rubber stamped it already.
But what I will do is say that everyone else is wrong about their criticisms of the game. Because this is what Animal Crossing was always meant to be. I love Animal Crossing New Horizons. To this day, I will say I think it is the best looking game on the system. The animation quality, the little details, the lighting engine, especially as it changes day to day, and of course in the seasons and everything. Everything is so well realized. It is the perfect culmination of what the series artistically and aesthetically had been building up to at that point. I like how the elements look, but that was like, I just want to lick and suck on like everything in this game, except for the underage characters. But on a design level, I think this game is remarkable because while I have enjoyed other Animal Crossing games, and as someone who likes building up a little town with little guys, a lot of little guys in Animal Crossing, I always felt like I was waiting for the game to get really engaging. I'm like, okay, I can't wait for the haircut shop or the fucking, unlock this fucking tool or whatever the hell. I can't wait to do that because then I'll really be in the world of Animal Crossing. I can finally do what I want to do in Animal Crossing. And I always felt like Animal Crossing was like pushing me away and be like, wait a little bit, Buster. But Animal Crossing New Horizons has that for the first 4 or 5 days you play it. But then you get 3 months of you're in it. You're in the shit with your people. And it also, much like as we listed other games like Breath of the Wild or Pokemon, development teams looking outside of themselves for inspiration, I think it's really important that Animal Crossing New Horizons made the design decisions it did for terraforming and outdoor activity because it is listening to what the industry on a large level and the audience on a large level enjoys out of their city builder style creative type games. This is Animal Crossing in the world post Minecraft. And it has that same appeal of being able to build up your little world in the way that you want it to. And obviously the terraforming is like the thing that people really think of when it's like, okay, how did you can build up your island and like create rivers and hills and stuff. Like that is a major, major change. And for some people, major criticism of what Animal Crossing New Horizons did. But I think what people fail to realize is that look me in the fucking eye and tell me you don't want that you want an Animal Crossing game where you can't put shit outside again, where you can't fucking make your island look like whatever the fuck you want, because then you can look online and see like, holy fucking balls, what did this person do? This person remade fucking Shadow Moses in Animal Crossing, and it took them like 6 fucking years to do, because you still have to go through block by block and like place it down and buy the things and dye your wool or whatever the fuck to make it look the way you want it to. But it unlocks a freedom that in the age of the creative type games, build your own type games, Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft, that are so popular now and leading the industry, taking cues from that not only unlocks Animal Crossing to a whole new generation, which of course it did and is one of Nintendo's best-selling games of all time, but it's also in the age of social media where it understands these elaborate ways that you can customize your island are the way that most people want to see things. Right? You look at an impressive Minecraft world. Okay, someone has like, built their house in a Minecraft actual village. But then you look at a guy who built a whole fucking, like, recreated Oblivion in his fucking Skyrim. That's like, huh? That's what makes you be like, oh my god, this game has breadth to it. And Animal Crossing New Horizons on a design level recognized what made other games appealing and incorporated those into its own design for a totally fresh and I think vastly superior angle on what Animal Crossing is. But then it also has the constraints of Animal Crossing still. I can't stress this enough. You have to wait until the next day for things to happen. The shops are only open at certain times. You are still digging for fossils and fishing, and now they have fucking farming and doing all this stuff that is traditional Animal Crossing. And so it's not like these other games. It's not Harvest Moon. It's not Stardew Valley. It's not Minecraft. It's something in between. And I think it offers a perfect balance between the plotting nature of Animal Crossing, where you want to turn your Switch on at the beginning of every month because there's new bugs and there's new fish, and you want to turn it on during holidays, which, what other fucking game you want to turn on during holidays? You usually want to see your family or want to avoid your family during those situations. But Animal Crossing invites you to be a part of its evolving world as the real-life calendar evolves. And it's not like, oh, check off your fucking 5 dailies. There's something new on Easter because it's fucking Easter, baby. I think this game is remarkable. It's the exact appeal of what makes Animal Crossing unique, but it listens to the rest of the industry and creates something that I think you can't go back from. This is an inflection point for the series, an inflection point for Nintendo, realizing that Animal Crossing has the potential to be one of their biggest franchises, one of the biggest franchises of the whole industry with this game. I don't know if another game will sell as well as New Horizons, but it might. If they then, again, listen to what the rest of the industry is doing and put their own spin on it. Isn't that what we always want Nintendo to do? They make a weird shooter, it becomes Splatoon. They make a weird fighter, it becomes Smash Brothers. They put their own spin on racing games, it's Mario Kart. They put their own spin on city builder games. It was Animal Crossing, but now it's really Animal Crossing. And the way that people have glommed onto that game so hard. I think it's one of the best games of generation, one of the most important games to me, obviously because of the time it came out in. But I didn't want to talk about that because that's why people always are like, oh, Animal Crossing New Horizons, big game, great, we all connected to it because of COVID. No, it's because of the fucking design. The game was designed before COVID. They didn't know that was going to fucking happen when it was released. When they scheduled it for May 20th, 2020, a date that I will always fucking remember. It's because of the game that people really, really glommed onto it. So I think it's amazing. I think it's an amazing game. Did I make my case well enough, you think?
The rubber stamp prevents me from commenting on Animal Crossing New Horizons. It does not prevent me, though, Tucker, from talking about my next game, which is number 3. It'll all come out in the wash. Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Oh, what a fucking game.
The people always talk about, oh, wow, this generation's full of games that we never dream games, right? But a lot of you fucking idiots are dropped on your head as children, and you're like, oh, my dream game is a remake of Paper Mario. Are you fucking kidding me? You could ask for anything, and that's what you ask for. Unless you are Rickley, and then you can have anything you want. Because Rickley is my goat. Rickley is an exception. Rickley is exempt from any law and regulation.
Well,
and mandate of
that?
heaven and a perspective and anything.
Wow.
He'd say or do anything.
Does he know this? He should take advantage of this.
Ever since
he can solve a lot of political issues.
Ever since I was a young man of the age of 6, I've been playing Kirby games. And Kirby's one of my favorite series ever. And I never thought that we would get that big 3D Kirby game. I never thought it would happen. I thought fucking Blood Blast and City Trial Mode and all this like half-step bullshit random nonsense would be the closest we ever get to putting Kirby in a big old 3D space and letting him run around. But no, HAL Labs delivered this game. And when we saw that first trailer, and you're in Goganga Mall or whatever it's called, I forget what it's called. And I saw Kirby in 3D. I'm like, fucking God is real, I guess, man. People always debating what's the deal with it with deities, right? That question was answered when they revealed Kirby and Forgotten Land. And that game came out, and I really just couldn't fucking believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gave Kirby not only this new dimension to play with, but this new set of powers that interface with the levels so closely in the mouthful mode abilities. And it gave us this very cohesive, interesting world for Kirby to run around in.
Yeah.
There's like literally no box that I wanted checked by a Kirby game that this didn't check. Now, whoa.
Pizza.
Now this game will never be better than Kirby Superstar Ultra. Again, you're rubber stamped, unfortunately. You've been embargoed. Because I picked the things I'd like for the rest of my life when I was 6, right? But
is that something you're proud of, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's proud. I'm just like, I was, because it's a sign of my shrewd intellect as a kindergartner. You see what I mean?
Oh, I see. Sure. Yeah.
But Kirby and the Forgotten Land, to me, is like the ideal Kirby game. They did it, right? And now it begs the question, it's actually more of a threat almost. What happens when they do it again? Can the fabric of the universe stand up to the stitching being plucked out, rivulet by rivulet, by a game even better than Kirby and the Forgotten Land? I guess we're going to see. Maybe that's where the world ends. Not because the Mayans ran out of pages in their calendar, but because fucking HAL came back and said, you know what? We're not going to settle for perfecting Kirby. We're going to go to a plane that we've not visited yet, like EP10.
Yeah. Art
direction, vision and gameplay, mechanics, everything. I couldn't believe it. It's astounding. It's an astounding game.
You know what you and I need to do some research on?
Sure.
Is who directs these fucking Kirby games. We've done a lot of research into specific directors of Mario games and Zelda games and this stuff. I could not name you a single person that works at HAL Laboratory. Who's a producer of these fucking Kirby games? I don't know. And that feels like a hole that we're missing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I would love to see where the director of this game, their inspiration came from. And the games they worked on previously.
Yeah.
To kind of get a sense of what led to this game. Because frankly, of the games we've talked about, on a development side, I think it's actually one of the ones I know least about.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Why certain decisions were made. Which is interesting. But I also completely adore that game. It is... You were right about it being a dream game, and it was my dream game. I remember being in like middle school, so like over 10 years ago, and be like, all right, if I could get a new game, I would want it to be Portal 3, New Scribblenauts, which I guess I got but I never played, or a 3D Kirby game.
There you go.
Those were the ones I always wanted, and we got one of them on Nintendo Switch. And it was even better than I thought it would be because I was always like, look, I like copy abilities in Kirby. But in the 2D space doesn't really work too strongly for me. But then they made fucking mouthful mode, which I never even thought about. I even thought it was possible. And those I think the mouthful mode power-ups are the best power-ups in the whole series. because they look funny, they play funny, and they is funny.
You're participating in Scribblenauts Showdown Erasure.
I know. That's why I said I guess I kind of got one.
Well, technically you got Unlimited before that, which is like actually a real Scribblenauts game.
Yeah.
And then Beaver Interactive made Showdown. That's like a party game or something.
Let's see.
We have to, I think, read Adam and Sithscott now, because then we're just doing numbers 1s and 2s.
No. I still have my number 3.
See, we're all cattywampus.
You skipped multiple. It's not my fault. It's out of order.
No, but it doesn't have to be out of order, because I can just say spot 4, Breath of the Wild, pause, your turn, resume, switch it around. See?
Yeah, but we didn't do that, apparently. Because I still have 3 more.
Then go ahead. Do all 3 right now just to make sure we don't miss them.
Wait, didn't you say we wanted to read other things?
I mean, we're all cattywampus, like I said, so I don't know. What do you think? Let's read 1 and then do your number 3, and then both our number 2s, and then 1 more, and then we do a number 1s.
Okay. Our friend Adam Hurd here has his top 10, not in backlog list form, which I'm very disappointed by. But
it's also unclear which. It's unclear if it's number 10 to 1 or 1 to 10.
That is actually true. Wait. No, that's actually true.
I think it's 1 to 10.
So, Mario Deluxe is number 10?
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
And just knowing Adam, that just seems right to me.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. So, from 10 to 1, hopefully, Adam Hurd's list goes a little something like this. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at number 10. Octopath Traveler at number 9. Fire Emblem Engage at number 8. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at number 7. Number 6, Metroid Prime Remastered. Number 5, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 4, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Number 4, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. No, that's 3. Number 2, Super Mario Maker 2. And number 1, Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
It took me 12 fingers to count all those games. I did something wrong.
What the fuck? You don't even have 12 fingers. How'd you do it?
I like to see Octopath Traveler on here. I think that was an interesting thing
Yeah.
Nintendo did by publishing that game in 2018.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one I would really like to personally explore, because it obviously was, within its scope, revolutionary for the time. Aesthetically, but also in terms of Square Enix making a big turn-based RPG like that. And a new IP as well. And structurally, it's unique. That is actually a really innovative, interesting game.
They also famously announced it as Project Triangle Well, they did this twice.
Project
And they're like, oh, we're going to change the title. And they did. They dropped the project.
Yeah, they dropped the project. Yeah. They did change the name. Yeah. Ready for my number 3?
Yes.
My number 3 is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is my favorite RPG of all time. Scruffy mentioned Xenoblade 3, and that's a game that I love. And I love like 2/3 of it, because I only played 2/3 of it. Got distracted by something and never went back. But I will at some point, but I'll definitely have to restart that game, and that is an intimidating prospect.
Yeah, sure.
But the one I did play all the way through is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I think is a remarkable game. I think it's one of the most impressive games on Switch. I think aesthetically, the anime art style is not something I usually gravitate to, but I love the character designs in this game. And I especially love 2 things about this game. Number 1, I think, is the world design. The idea of being on this set of multiple gigantic creatures, and how that doesn't really impact like the level layouts too much, but it impacts the way that I think about the levels. Because I'm in a big plain, I'm in the like more deserty, rocky area, but just knowing that if I look up and I see like an ear, that I'm on a big guy. Rather than having a mountain in the distance, it's a finger. That is so much more interesting to me, and it creates this totally distinct just world concept. Because not only, it's interesting that you're on giant creatures, and what does that mean for the ecology of this world, but what does it mean for like literally like the planet? because you're in the Cloud Sea, and of course there's reveals of what's below the Cloud Sea that make it even more interesting. But then it makes the politics even more interesting because, like, some of the creatures are dying, and one of them dies partway through the game. It's like, oh, that's like a whole civilization that was lost. That was like generations upon generations of like people and the homes of like fucking countries ostensibly that are gone. And I find that concept just so compelling in a way that very few games ever attempt to have a unique world concept in that way. You look at fantasy or anime worlds, and it's usually like, you know, the kingdom of Smorgasbord is battling this other one that, like, they're right across the river from each other, but they don't look that different.
Yeah.
And they're just like the red guys versus the blue guys. But it reformulates the way that I think about a world, and I find that so fascinating. And then number 2 is the cast. I think in contention with Yakuza Like a Dragon and Metaphor Refantasio, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is one of my favorite RPG casts, favorite video game casts of all time. Because this cast is fucking huge. Because every playable character is actually 2 playable characters. I love an ensemble cast in a game, in a movie, and anything. I love when there's a bunch of people with different personalities that can kind of argue with one another, and they have like little friendships, and they get mad. It's a whole thing. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does that amazingly well because it is such a big cast that you have to deal with. Because not only is Rex and his sword is actually 2 characters. That's so funny. They're really one character, but they're kind of 2 characters, and they have different personalities. It's fun. And then there's Nia and Dromark and Morag and Bridget and Tora and Poppy, and like you get this like this huge group of wacky characters that all have totally different designs. And I'm like, I just want to spend forever with these people because they're ridiculous and they're boisterous, but they love each other at the end of the day, and that is really what connects me to a world and to a group of characters. The game feels very genuine. It feels very honest. These characters are goofy to a fault, but the game knows that. The world is goofy to a fault, and it knows that. And I just adored it. I spent so much time, and I think it has one of the best soundtracks on Switch. And it's a really, really, really special game to me because it's also the game that, frankly, like introduced me to RPGs in like a substantial way. I adore Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And even if the combat took a while for me to get used to, I found it very gratifying by the time I was really far into the game. And yeah, it gets a thumbs up for me, I think.
I love what you said.
If I had to like, you know, say something, I would say I get a thumb up.
That's good enough. I love what
do you love?
I just loved what you said about wanting to spend forever with the characters. Oh, that's amazing.
That's one of the few games I like cried at the end of.
That's incredible.
Because there's this big moment where, you know, I don't know, shit's blowing up, the world tree's coming down, whatever. And Gramps, who is this guy who's a little guy in the back of your helmet for most of the game, he ostensibly evolves, and he turns into his giant dragon form, and he has wings, and goes, and he saves all of you at the end of the day. And all of them are like on the back, like literally like hugging and crying each other. I'm like, holy shit, this is one of the fucking craziest things I've ever seen in my life, and I love you guys. Yeah. I on my Switch, I like to go back and look at the screenshots. I have probably 47 screenshots from like the last, 35 minutes of cutscene of that game.
Tucker, let's do the last community submission, and then we'll both do our number 1s and 2s. On the 1s and 2s, as I say, kind of funny for some reason about somebody. I don't know who.
It's usually Kevin or Barrett because they're running the operation.
What are the 1s and 2s?
The control panel. They didn't come up with that. That's an actual thing. It's like the guy running the station.
So they come up with Nitro Rifle, the Headshot, and Globetrot and Nitro Rifle?
Yes. If that had been someone else before, that'd be really, really unfortunate for Andy Cortez. You want to read the thing, or you want me to do it? No, you got no voice. I'll fucking do it. We also neglected Adam's comment here about one specific game. Because we asked people to talk about one specific game. Didn't happen for most of them.
I gave the option. Some people did both. Some people did neither. A lot of people did neither, actually.
True. Yeah, most people did. Adam says, I guess I also want to do a special shout out to Animal Crossing New Horizons, though. That was the game of the year for 2020, not because it was the best game released that year, but because during a time of isolation during COVID, where many of us felt alone and cut off from the world, Animal Crossing gave us connection. For a few months, the world was a sunnier place, all due to Animal Crossing.
You know what I have to say to that? Indubitably.
Indubitably, yes, yes. And then finally, our last top 10 comes from our friend Sithscott, whose list goes like this. Number 10, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Number 9, Octopath Traveler. It should have been Sharp FE Encore, but I'll let it slide. Number 8, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 7, Splatoon 3. Number 6, Pokemon Legends Arceus / Scarlet and Violet. It changes depending on its mood. Number 5, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Number 4, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Number 3, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Number 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And number 1, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Oh.
Wait, you have 2 games left?
Yeah, you do as well.
But you have 3 games that have to be in your top 2.
Well, I got bad news for you. One of them's not there.
Which one is it?
What do you think they are?
I think that the 3 games you still have in your last 2 slots are Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, one of them's not in there.
One of them didn't make the list at all. Was that an oversight or a fact of life?
Fact of life, baby.
Wow. Well, there's one that I hope, but I know, but I hope, but I know, but I hope. You know what I'm saying? Sithscott, thank you for writing in. There's so many RPGs in there, but this is a day of positivity. Thank you for shouting out Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's very intriguing.
Abram, talk to me about your next game.
My next game is... where did my document go? Well, I don't even need my document because the next 2 games...
There's 2 left. Can you remember it?
The next 2 games are 2 of my top 5 games ever. But before that, I want to quickly say shout out Clubhouse Games.
And yet there are other Nintendo systems that are better, somehow.
Yes. Shout out Clubhouse Games. Shout out Mario Tennis Aces. Shout out Endless Ocean Luminous. And shout out Metroid Dread. All of whom missed...
Oh, shit, Dread didn't make your list. That's fucking crazy.
All of whom missed my list just barely. Dread is probably number 11. So sorry. There's only 10 spots in a 10-spot list.
Dread is probably 7 times better than all those other games you mentioned.
Well, I guess I have 11 games on a 10-spot list, which is why I thought you might as well. Because I did Splatoon 2 and 3.
Oh.
My number 2, this is where you have to exercise your sequestered nature. My number 2 is Metroid Prime Remastered.
I'm conclaved.
You're conclaved for this one.
Oh, wait, I'm actually just mute myself and eat some pizza while you talk about it.
Metroid Prime Remastered is like... It's one of those things that they had really no business doing. And this is also where I have to forgive people for saying like their dream game is a remake of Thousand Year Door, because my dream game in number 2 here is a remake of
You're right, they did no business doing it.
Yes. I have another GameCube game here, but mine is much, much, much better than your GameCube game. Sorry. I only Riku is allowed to like Thousand Year Door more than Metroid Prime 1. Metroid Prime is the sort of game for me that only comes around, well, with this year 4 times in a 23-year span. And I thought you'd like that one. I thought I could get a silent laugh there on the fucking muted microphone for that one.
Well, but before your death, that implies that it will come around many times.
Yeah, that would imply that I'd get 4 in every 22 years. If I lived to like 80 something, ideally, I would get around 11 to 12 Metroid Prime.
You did not. You didn't even close to do the math on that. But
4 in every 22 years.
How fucking old do you think you're gonna be to get 11 of them?
If you get 4 every 22 years, I'd have 8 by the time I'm 44.
Oh, four every 22 years? Oh, you mean the Prime series? I thought you meant Metroid Prime.
No, that's why I was making a humorous remark.
Ah, okay. All right. Bye-bye.
I don't even want to talk about this game. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to talk about it. It's just too good. Metroid Prime doesn't exist in words. It exists in sound, in action. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn off all the lights in your house. That's not even a joke. Turn off all the lights in your house. type into your phone, your iPod, your Zune, type in Phendrana Drifts OST. Close your eyes. Even though you're in the dark, there might be your eyes will adjust to the darkness. I want you in fucking pitch darkness. And listen to this track. Metroid Prime exists to me in this way. It exists in music. It exists in motion. It exists in little text descriptions. It exists in raindrops on Samus's visor, in the trees of the overworld of Talon 4, in the fucking swarms of bugs crawling through morph ball tunnels on the frigate Orpheon in the first 10 minutes of the game. I think that there are few game worlds that captivate me in this way, and few that I want to just look at and appreciate. And I think that's why this remastered edition, Beyond the Better Controls, is so important to me. I think this is like one of the few times in my life when graphics really do matter to me, because the contour and detail of every room, of every environment on Talon 4, I know very, very well. And to see it like I didn't know it at all was really, really amazing to me. And to me, this is always going to be Retro's crowning achievement, but I hope it's not, because I hope Metroid Prime 4 replaces it. My top 5 games ever. But it's a bold game, it's a beautiful game, and it's one that is outside of the bounds of the type of game I usually enjoy. Because it's quite slow, it's quite methodical. There's action, but it's backgrounded. But it really vibrates at like the opposite frequency of me, right? So we cancel each other out, and we're just trapped in this moment together of serenity as I'm standing overlooking a new room and wondering what upgrade is tucked behind that wall, or what boss is waiting for me, or what detail will I uncover when I use my scan visor. There's very few games that captivate me like that, and Metroid Prime 4 is hopefully one of those. I meant to say Metroid Prime 1 is that already, so that's all I'll say about it. My goat, Retro Studios. My goat.
Yeah, not the only team to make 2 in your top 10, but one of them.
True. 3 teams did that, right? EPD 10,
Retro,
HAL,
10.
Retro.
Oh, HAL. Good point, yeah. Godspeed.
Technically EPD 5 because I put 2 Splatoon games in there, but again, I was cheating, so.
EPD 3 and Game Freak are the only ones that do that for me.
So Tears of the Kingdom is in here. I knew it had to be. So, so it must be Odyssey gets snubbed. I can't believe it. Do your number 2.
My number 2 favorite Nintendo Switch exclusive game is Super Mario Odyssey.
Whoa, so Smash Brothers gets snubbed.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Odyssey for a second. Why is Smash Brothers not on your list?
These other games are better? Smash is at my number 18.
That's interesting because
it's not even close.
It's not on my list. It's close. It's close to it. But I figured, I'll have an opportunity to talk about it because you love the culture of Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
But I guess that's separate from
the game. The game is excellent.
Sure.
I fucking love Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah.
And the great and frustrating part of what we did with this video, is we did limit ourselves to a selection of them.
Yeah.
There is, I think, almost enough interesting, exciting Nintendo Switch exclusive video games that we are passionate about to do another 2-hour-long discussion.
Oh, certainly.
About the rest of the library that we have played. The two of us together played almost every single game that Nintendo released, which is like, it's like 130 games. Something ridiculous.
I don't know if there's any that neither of us played, actually.
There's got to be fucking one. Yeah, I guess you played Brothership. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I think we probably covered each other's bases. Yeah. Interesting. But no, yeah, I love Smash. I love Smash, but I have a solid passion for it, but I can't do a 15-minute rant about why I love particularly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Fair enough. Now go back to it. To the revelry of number 2.
My level or level 2? is Super Mario Odyssey, which is a game that I like everything here, I only have fond memories of. I mean, from literally the first trailer to every time I think about this game, it's pure fucking joy to me. It is everything I want out of a game, world and gameplay. Which is, well, I mean, I don't know. I usually prefer a game to have a little bit more lore. There's not a lot story-wise going on in Super Mario Odyssey, though there is more going story-wise than most Mario games. So, operating within a limited band there. But world-wise, it has so many distinct locations. Super Mario Odyssey says fuck you to the Mushroom Kingdom, though of course it has the Mushroom Kingdom, and introduces us to all the other kingdoms that we've maybe seen in spin-offs, and maybe it was Sarasaland and like Super Mario Land or whatever, but so much of Mario's identity had been tied to mushrooms and the sets of green hills and snowland and poison swamps and desert and whatever. But Super Mario Odyssey, again, says fuck you to the Mushroom Kingdom and introduces us to all these other places that apparently exist out there in the Mario world. And I love the globe-trotting nature of it because it allows for that variety to feel so much more natural, even if it's, you're going to the fucking ruined kingdom or just like one tower in the sky. But it doesn't really make sense in any way, the way that like you transition from a fucking cloud world to a pipe world.
Sure.
What are you fucking talking about? But when you're in your fucking Capcopter, what's the fucking ship called? The Odyssey. When you're in the Odyssey, Capcopter, and you're traveling from place to place, and it is this globe-trotting thing that you're like filling out your passport of like visiting these different places. It creates a sense of cohesion to worlds that are not cohesive at all. So it has this much in the way that we like Mario Wonder. It has a sense of place, but the place is like Ghibli Jubilee. I love every single kingdom in its own way in Super Mario Wonder. I think the Cap Kingdom, with the Tim Burton black and white rolling hills, big moon in the sky, weird spooky city off in the distance, populated by fucking hat people, is one of the best first levels in any video game. Not because it's like the most fun, but because what the fuck? That's the first one? That should be like 9th. What are you talking about? And then, of course, you get to go turn into a dinosaur on the second step. Mario games are usually you kill a Goomba and then you get a mushroom. This one is ghosts and then dinosaur, which just makes me smile. And it keeps one-upping itself because it always carries its own creativity all the way through. What we talked about Wonder is, I think, very similar to Odyssey, of the creativity per square inch in this game is, I think, very, very close to unmatched. Every place I feel like I know like the back of my hand. It's the only game I've ever tried to speedrun because I talk about the world, how much I love, but gameplay is something I usually don't end up getting super deep into in my conversations about games because usually I'm like, gameplay is solid, but it's not my favorite part of a game. But that's it's just true for Super Mario Odyssey. I love being Mario in this game and rolling down a hill and throwing my cap and diving onto it and bouncing off of it and doing the little move where he spins it around him as you tick your controller to the side and whip. And I love the way you spin, and then he'll like go up and he'll fucking like T-pose and like float down gently. And like I love crouching and doing a backflip to get a little bit higher. And like his moveset is the best 3D platforming moveset, and it makes other ones feel so limited in comparison. And then you place it into these worlds that are like tailor-made to the fucking millimeter for these abilities. The amount of horse shit that people get up to in this game, and you're like, no, they fucking broke it. And then there's like 6 coins up top. It's like, they fucking knew. They fucking knew what you could do in this game. They tested it. They fucking knew. It's just remarkable. And again, and I've said this for so many of these games today, but one of the best soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
On Switch.
Oh yeah.
Every fucking track of this is an absolute heater, and they explore genre so much. This isn't, which I love, but this isn't Koji Kondo Mario music where it's all a little bit upbeat and bubbly and stuff. There's that stuff in there. But you're getting fucking Italian music in this shit. You're getting fucking reggae or what? I don't know. I don't think it's one of them. But like, they're like pulling from all these weirdo shit fucking genres. And it does a great spin on all of the classic Mario tropes. We've been in an Ice Kingdom before, but we've never been in one that is completely like blizzarded out so that the people have to live underground in little warm little holes. But they're not just like, I don't know, Koopa Troopas wearing a fucking Santa hat. These are big fucking round ass polar bear fucking seal guys. And yeah, okay, they're big and round, that's silly. But then they also race by bouncing off the walls, which is awesome. And then also you can play as all of these creatures.
You can be a tree.
You can be a Goombas. Because everything I just mentioned about Super Mario Odyssey would, I think, for me, easily make this one of the best games ever made, even if the capture mechanic wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
You have an amazing 3D platforming moveset. You have amazing level design, varied worlds, an amazing soundtrack, beautiful visuals, like really, really crisp, and a good balance between semi-realistic textures, but obviously still very cartoony and very expressive. I love Mario like stretching and yawning and laying on the ground and a little bird landing on his nose and everything. Like, but then there's also the fucking capture mechanic. And this is what I love about so many games that I love, is if the game would still be excellent, if an excellent part of it was removed, that makes it a fucking 12 out of 10, 13 out of 10, 14 out of 10. And that's what Super Mario Odyssey is, because everything I mentioned, and plus it reinvents and recontextualizes power-ups, which are maybe the most core element of Mario's identity up to that point, but totally feel different. I love so many of the capture mechanics, and I love that they're not all great. Some of them are funny. It's not all, here's a level where you do this. It's sometimes like, I don't know, you moved a tree, but you got to be a tree, and the tree had a mustache on it and had a Mario hat on it. Isn't that fucking stupid? But yeah, it's stupid. Yes.
Sometimes the joy is in the ingenuity of the mechanic, and sometimes the joy is simply intrinsic to the object. And I think that's what makes the capture mechanic special.
Yeah. And also, they created this capture mechanic thing where it's like, you know, being a Goomba, kind of interesting. Being a bullet bill, okay, that lets you fly, that's kind of interesting. But for the most part, yeah, how many classic Mario enemies do you even end up capturing in this game? It's a very, very small portion of the total captures. Yeah. A weaker Mario team, and I think this is also true about Wonder and the amount of new enemies that game introduces. A weaker Mario team would have said, we have this great idea in captures or Wonder Seeds. Let's place this on top of what we already have. Let's do some flumps. Let's do some dry bones. And, you know, those are all in both of these games. But then you have the fucking caterpillars that make an accordion sound when they stretch. And they're not just like blue or red, like, or yellow like a Wiggler. They're like purple and teal and maroon and gold. What the fuck? That's a fucking weird color. You got the fucking Glidon guy. That's a fucking gliding dinosaur, and that's kind of fun. You got the Pokio that you stab its beak into the walls. You have these big blustery fucking wind guys that shoot tornadoes out of their mouths. You could be a tank. You could be a guy in this game. Like, they broke Mario free of its identity and created a whole roster of new identities around it. It satisfied the itch that people had always wanted of Mario being in the real world, but that was always something kind of weird. But then I think New Donk City is probably the top 5 most iconic Mario locations. And it's something people associate with Mario now. Yeah. Because they knocked it out of the fucking park.
We had a 7-year itch after Galaxy for another really creative Mario game like this. It's just
you just want to say the phrase 7 years?
Yeah, it's just a little 7-year itch reference for you classic Hollywood fans out there, right?
Yeah.
Leave a like for that one. Leave a comment. Ring the bell. Ring the bell for Marilyn Monroe. May she rest in peace.
Anything you want to say about Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey is so good that I would replay the game and only get the moons that Talkatoo told me to get. Yeah. Just for something different to do. Because I just wanted to play the game backwards, forwards, left, and fucking right. It's all in the movement. I agree with you completely. It's all there, and then when it feels that good to play, you wanna go everywhere, right? And these worlds are just designed to do that. Every inch of Luncheon Kingdom is funny. Yeah. Why that guy's a fork? Why is he a fork? Forks live here.
Then you become a meat. You remember when you'd be a meat?
Yeah,
that's another one that's intrinsic to the sound. It's fun to play as the meat because you just like hop 3 times, but you get to be a meat.
And you got Kukateel, like, you got all these great guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys.
The game,
and you have the Hammer Bros that wear chef's hats and they throw frying pans instead. How did it take them fucking 30 years to come up with that?
Super Mario.
Hammer Bros should have always been throwing other shit.
Super Mario Odyssey takes strange premises to their naturally strange conclusions, and that's why that game is cool.
To their unnatural conclusions.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Well done. Tucker, it is time for our number ones. Yes. So I guess it's my turn to give my number one, and then it's your turn to give your number one. Does that make sense?
Of course it fucking does. I just told you my number 2.
Sorry, I'm just screenshotting all of our myriad timestamps here because my phone's about to die, and I want to make sure we have this information.
You have a charger?
No, I just get a new phone whenever one dies.
One of the funniest little game design things I think about a lot is when Reaper is finished with the guns and he just throws the other one on the ground and pulls out another set of guns.
That's good stuff.
I think about that quite frequently.
My number one game is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to me is the very, very best local multiplayer game Nintendo's ever made. And I love to share Nintendo games with other people. That's sort of at the heart.
I want to keep it to my fucking self. I'm like Golem or Smog or something.
That's sort of at the heart of a lot of the stuff I do online or in my work. I want to share these Nintendo games with other people, and Nintendo games that have great local multiplayer is like the most intimate version of that. And getting to directly share in this experience, first with my sister, and then for most of the Switch's generation, getting to share it with Jean has been really, really special. It's a game we can constantly return to, and it's a game that if they never made him another Mario Kart after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I would have been happy. Because the way that the karts feel, the number of tracks we have here, particularly with the Booster Course Pass, the battle mode we have, it's all best in class. I love Double Dash. Double Dash is a funny game. Double Dash is not a better game than this. And I don't think there's another game, really, in the history of the universe, except for Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005 on the PlayStation 2, that I know more intimately, or that I could always be sat in front of and never get bored with. I just really, really, really am so happy that before we got Mario Kart World, where we're taking things in a new direction, we're really trying new things, that we got a very, very, very definitive end cap to an era of Mario Kart. Because for as much as there was change, like up through Double Dash, there's a lot of continuity from Wii to 8 Deluxe. And to sort of rubber stamp that era, give us this one amazing package, and then to fill it with options that make it so anybody can play and have a wonderful time is so important to me. Mario Kart Wii had automatic transmission, so you didn't have to drift. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had no such thing, and it made it hard for my sister and I to enjoy that game together on Wii U. We still did a great time with it, but as soon as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out and anybody could play, anybody could put on steering assist, again, let me share this game with so many more people than I was able to share Mario Kart 8 with on Wii U. So it will forever be, well, hopefully not, again, like Prime Remastered. I hope Mario Kart World's even better than this, but I think realistically speaking, there will never be another Nintendo multiplayer game that, to me, has occupied this much time in my life, right? Because really we're talking about 2014 on Wii U through now. Occupied this much time, and occupied it not just because there was no alternative, but because I almost didn't even really want one. And when we got 48 more tracks in the Booster Course Pass, it was like Christmas morning. How many waves were there? 6 waves? Or 8 waves?
Something like that, yeah.
I forget.
8, I think. No, yeah, because it was fucking like 4 million tracks. And that is one of the craziest moments of this generation. Is for so long, for the Switch generation, one of the biggest games was a game that was 4 years old, or 3 years old by the time it came out. And people were like, there's some cool stuff in the base Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game. You can upload your characters, you get better battle mode.
Yeah.
All the DLCs in there. That's cool. A couple extra options. Purple Sparks, double item boxes. Like they did a lot, actually. I think people don't really give credit for how much was actually changed and added for the base game. To where it does make it not only obviously a better game than Mario Kart 8, but a very different game from Mario Kart 8 to Deluxe.
Yes.
But then 5 years later, they're like, what about what about more? And not just like 1 or 2 cups. More than another Mario Kart's game worth of other tracks. Just stapled on top. And if you have Switch Online, which almost everyone who's going to be playing Mario Kart does, you get them with that. And you don't even have to invest extra money into it. No one has ever really done that before. Where that many years later, literally half a decade later, to a game that was already old, they give its biggest content update.
They doubled the amount of tracks in the game, literally.
What the fuck? In a game that was already big, and the people weren't saying there wasn't enough tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
No,
people were definitely saying that about Mario Kart 8, the base game of that. And they just really obviously just like listened to feedback, and they then added surprises. There were some new courses in there. They didn't need to do that. There's some characters in there. Actually, quite a few new characters in there. Characters that are totally new to the series in there. It's a remarkable package that I think people don't give the game credit for. This is actually the game that if I were to create the parameters, you can only include original games on Switch, and not remasters or ports or stuff. I would have the hardest time not including Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because it is not Mario Kart 8. All these other games, there's an extra mode or controls are different. Maybe they added a DLC like Captain Toad. That's kind of cool, but like, who played those levels? I don't know. I didn't play those levels. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is all the new stuff they only added in the Switch era is enough to be its own game.
Yeah.
If a new Mario Kart game, if Mario Kart 9 had launched with all of the Booster Course Pass tracks as the base, and double item boxes and sparks and battle extras, mode, and the battle mode, people were like, "Oh, dude, this is so much better than Mario Kart 8." But because it was a package that was built in a different way than people are used to, people say that the Switch didn't get its own Mario Kart, but I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong. We got actually the biggest and most polished Mario Kart this generation. It just happened to be called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe instead of Mario Kart 9. Or imagine if Mario Kart 9, if Mario Kart Deluxe had just been titled Mario Kart 9 and released in 2019 or whatever. It'd probably still be the best selling game of the system or whatever. And people wouldn't be so like hit or miss, like, oh, is this part of the Switch era? Is Wii U? Like, no, fuck you. The package is all there. Everything you want is there. And now we're getting a different one. And I agree with you. I like what you said of it being a culmination of that first octilogy of Mario Kart games.
Play us out, Piano Man. What's your number one?
My number one game is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm joking. I'm not that good at lying. I don't think I would have been able to keep that much of a straight face when I said it wasn't on my list. But no, it's Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is my number one game. And the reason why I put this game at my number one slot is because everything I said about Breath of the Wild, which I think is unequivocally one of the best games ever made, one of the most impactful games ever made to me and to the industry, in my deepest heart of hearts, truth of truths, if I had to stand by a video game opinion, I would stand by that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a better designed game in literally every way than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is one of the best games ever made. And it's like you took an 11 out of 10 game and made it a 14 out of 10 game. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? Nah, you can't fucking do that. There's got to be some sort of drawback here. And one of my thought exercises that I always do, and is, I don't know, it's probably annoying to some people, but is I try to think of areas where on a design level I prefer Breath of the Wild. And it's not my usual MO to break a game down to its composite parts. Like, you talk about what you would give the story, you talk about what you would give the gameplay or the music, like that kind of stuff. There are obviously elements that make up a game. But I often end up doing this with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom because the games are very similar. And it ends up highlighting, I think, their differences, actually, a lot more than their similarities. Because while Hyrule is the same, Tears of the Kingdom has an entirely different design intent behind it. And it shares a similar thing to what we were saying about Wonder and about Odyssey and about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which is that the game would be a 10 out of 10 masterpiece if there wasn't Ultra Hand in the game. And then again with the just free reign, no deadline that Nintendo gave to this game, it allowed for an injection of creativity and totally fundamentally innovative design, video game design, placed into the framework of something that people were already familiar with. And I think that is the key. This isn't aesthetically different. It's not a whole new world. This isn't like 64 to Sunshine or Majora's Mask to Wind Waker, where it's like, okay, you get a lot of new ideas, but it comes with this package that is nothing like what you've seen before, which can end up being polarizing. What I think is cool is that they recognize we have such a solid foundation here, but there is more that we can do, and we can do more with it than you think we can. That is very, very rare in video game design. Even some of the best sequels make sense as the next step. Logically in the design, it's like, okay, you fix a few things here, you expand on the story, a couple new areas, some bosses, you're good. And that's what most sequels are. But in this, they made the direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. They changed up the combat a little bit. The towns are a little bit different. The story is continuing. You're evolving on the runes because you established that in the first game. But then there's this extra element to it that is the physics simulation that was so cool in Breath of the Wild. I think people forget, the physics simulation is a big part of what makes Breath of the Wild such a fascinating game. And instead of doubling down on a new open world that follows those same climbing mechanics and stuff, and the gliding and stuff, which is cool, they took every design element of Breath of the Wild and took it to that next step that no one was really expecting them to take. I love climbing a tower in Breath of the Wild and gliding down to explore something new and getting a little bit of extra distance from that, because it makes those towers, as I mentioned earlier, feel more meaningful than the towers in other open world games. But Tears of the Kingdom, you get on the tower and you go boom, and you shoot into the sky, and instead of your Nintendo Switch bursting into flames at that exact microsecond that Link shoots out of the thing, you are sent into the sky, and not only then do you get to access the Skylands, that's pretty cool, not the biggest part of the game, that's pretty cool, you then get to render distance see the entire fucking land of Hyrule and go wherever you want. And so it takes the physics, which were great in Breath of the Wild. It's like, how can we play with this even further? It takes the towers in Breath of the Wild. How can we play this even further? The quest design in Breath of the Wild, the combat system, which was really cool in Breath of the Wild because it forced you to always experiment, and sometimes you had to use a fucking pot lid and like a broom handle because that was all you had. And they're like, well, how can we take that even further? What if you are scrambling in real time to cobble together your combat abilities? For me, it's every appeal that I liked about Breath of the Wild on a creative angle, twisted to a 12. I think the story is more interesting. I think the aesthetic is largely the same, but mildly more interesting. And then once again, another surprise, a totally unnecessary one. They add the depths, which are a hidden secret that they didn't talk about before launch. And then, you ostensibly get another game's worth of area to climb around down there and fuck around with, that plays very differently, which is cool. and it continues forward the Zelda legacy of having a dark world or a low world or whatever. Yeah, and I think it's cool. I think it's a cool fucking game.
I think the thing I love the most about Tears of the Kingdom is the last 2 hours. And
sure. I didn't even talk about that.
I think what makes the game quite special is that there's so much attention on the sandbox, but they didn't let that be the sole focus.
Sure.
I think an area I'm gonna lift the rubber stamp for a second. I think an area of Breath of the Wild that is certainly fair to criticize that they were so invested in the sandbox that they kind of forgot about a really compelling through line in that game.
Yeah.
And to me, that is supplemented by or replaced by a different appeal, which is cool.
Absolutely. 100%.
And makes that game very singular. But I think what's interesting about Tears of the Kingdom is they said, well, actually, we really can have both.
Yeah.
And that final Ganondorf fight, and then that final dive to catch Zelda, like, I've not beaten every Zelda game, but I've beaten a fucking ton of them, right? And no ending, aside from maybe Wind Waker,
sure,
that has touched me in that way. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
It's just some beautiful synthesis of linear storytelling, but also some very subversive, decisions, like Ganondorf's health bar, and various things that almost in a conventional storytelling setting, still foreground the experimentation and out of the box thinking that defines that game.
Yeah, and define Nintendo.
Exactly, and so I think that. So many people rightfully, as you're saying, praise that sandbox. However, I think that also EPD3 deserves a lot of credit for the sort of the needle they thread through that of the core story, which ended up being my favorite part of that game.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting part to me about Tears of the Kingdom, in the way it appeals and doesn't appeal to different players, is that I find a lot of the things that people take criticism with the game to be ultimately optional. Is if you don't like the depths, okay, go play the whole other rest of the 150-hour game. If you don't like Ultra Hand, okay, don't build anything outside of the tutorial where you have to. That's fine. Game still... Go play the fucking game. It's out there. If you don't like the having to equip different things on your arrows with the sliding bar, okay, use a sword. That's fine. Like, the game still plays and is as expansive as Breath of the Wild was, but then there's extra options where you can engage with them if you want to. And the game, much like how Breath of the Wild lets you choose your own path, Tears of the Kingdom, something we always think is fascinating about it, is they create this playground, but they don't really care what you do in it. And it's such confident design to create things that are mechanically and technically solid, and obviously very innovative and interesting. But then understand that different people have different appeals in the game, and they don't need to engage with every single part. You're not supposed to go collect all the fucking Koroks. They're there if you fucking want to, if you're a sicko. But they're there because finding your path through this game is more important than the path through this game. Your path is the choices you made, the mechanics you want to engage with. And that's why it makes it hard for me to rationalize a lot of the criticism people have of the game, because I'm like, you can, there's like literally hundreds of hours of other game where you don't have to fucking do that. It's fine. It's fine. But I love that game, and it is, it's my favorite game on the system. And 6 years into the system's life cycle, we got one of my favorite games ever made. Many of them.
We were able to give some real detailed speeches here, considering we were recording this in 2015, 2 years before the system even came out.
It's amazing. Look at us.
I'm just going to start a timer so I can do timestamps.
Jumpin' Jehoshaphat.
It's a good reference.
To fucking what? I don't know what that's a reference to.
I don't know either. He's probably a biblical figure.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it.
Jehoshaphat's witness.
No, that's a different guy.
Well, he had witnesses. Jehoshaphat just has one.
Whoa.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Well, now that we've covered that,